What is happening, everybody? Welcome back to Tour Life. Today is Tuesday, October 29th, and we got a fun show for you tonight. Another lawsuit might be around the corner in disc golf. Yes, another one.
Oh no.
People like just paying the lawyer fees, you know? People like paying the lawyer fees. We are going to have the Grippy Awards reaction. So if you don't know what that is, Grip Locked every year does their annual Grippy Awards. So we'll be going through and reacting to who they ended up picking. We've got Crazy John Brooks joining the show. Very excited. He reached out. He said he has a lot to say. We're going to give him the floor. We're going to give him the platform. We're going to see what the heck happens. Then we're going to discuss who actually had the best season of all time. And we're going to put it to bed. We're putting it to bed after this, Uli. This will be, it'll be it, finished, no more. And then we've got Edwin Stats coming on as well. He is going to be defending his pick for who had the best season of all time with his statistics. And we have a few listener questions to finish before we jump into all that. Uli, how's it going, brother?
It's going good. Living the good life here in Rock Hill, South Carolina.
Yeah.
Been nice every single day. Hey, good news. Doctor said I could play golf. Not disc golf, but golf. So I've been
you can swing it.
I can do something. It's been
there you go.
3.5 months since I've been able to use my arm. So I'm on track. I'm above or ahead of schedule with the recovery, which is good. And I'll be able to throw a disc in January.
Yeah, nothing is worse than actually being like bedridden. I mean, you're not bedridden, no. But you know what I'm saying? Like for people that like soccer. To be for people that are active, it sucks not being able to do much. My week was pretty good. I obviously whenever I go out to Vegas at this point in time, Uli, I know what I'm getting myself into. That's why I wear the hat. It's not pretty, guys. The Raiders are they're just bad. They're bad. Coaching's bad.
They started talking trash to Patrick Mahomes.
Play calling's bad. It's just bad. So I'm going there specifically to support my wife and to watch her. And it was a big one. She got Raiderette of the game. So really? she got to be recognized for that.
Congratulations.
And that was super cool. Big honor. I mean, they only have like 8 home games. So only 8 girls get it every year. And there's 36 girls on the team or something. So
that's awesome.
Less than a quarter of the girls get it. So she got it. So that was really cool. Got to see that.
The first time she got something like that?
Yeah, first time that she's been given an award like that. So very cool. She gets she got like a huge box of programs and like the program that you would buy when you go to the game. And she's got like a full page hype piece in there. So we got a bunch of those things for the future, for the memory. So yeah, very cool stuff. I do have a funny slots machine story if you want to hear it.
I do. Yeah. So
we are not big slots people. We tend to like to play blackjack and roulette. Those are our games that we like. But Kelsey was very interested in trying to find a slot game. We weren't understanding any of these slot games. We were just putting $20 in and then losing, putting $20 into this one and then losing. And then finally found this, it's like the drum game. It's called like the drum something. And we put it in, and initially, you know how they get you to make you feel like you're not losing a lot of money is they turn your money into credits. And so like you're not spending $5 a spin, you're spending 75 credits. And you're like, well, I have no idea how much that is. And so we have really no idea how much money it is until after the spin when it updates the $ on the slot machine.
Yeah.
Right. And so we're getting super low. I think I put $100 in this one, and we're getting low. And I was basically telling her, like, hey, once this 100's out, we're done. We're out of here. And all of a sudden, bing, 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 bing. And we're like, what? And then you start seeing the counter just go. And we're like, how much money did we just win? What's going on?
You have no idea.
And we're like, something's happening. How much money did we win? And Kelsey's like, I don't know, probably like $5. And then immediately it's like 250. And we're like, Whoa! We're like, we get to play more. So we then proceeded to go back. They're called like fur babies, I think is foo babies, I think is what it's called. And you have like this big big bowl, and once you get a certain icon enough, it fills the bowl where then I don't know why Kelsey's calling me. Hold on one second. I got my podcast. I'm live. You're live. Say what up to the people.
Hi, everybody.
I'm telling them about the casino story. All right, have a good practice. Love you. Bye. Uli, 8 o'clock every Tuesday, brother.
Hey, listen.
8 o'clock every Tuesday, brother.
Sarah went to get her hair done, and I'm watching the baby, and I'm like, dang, it's getting pretty close to my podcast. But she knows it's a podcast. Like, she'll be home. She gets back like 10 minutes ago, and I'm like, oh, just in time for the podcast. She's like, I totally forgot. Like, I had no idea. I was like,
it's literally 8 o'clock every.
So the bowl's filling up, though.
Okay, so the bowl's filling up, and then once it overflows, you get like this icon thing that pops down, and you have to click the coins. And when you click a coin, it flips over a foo baby, and there's different colors. And the first 3 colors that you match, you get whatever that is, right? So there's like a minor bonus, a bonus, a major bonus, extreme bonus, whatever. Kelsey goes major bonus, the first 2. She hits one more, it's $12K. And I'm like, I'm going nuts. And like, she ends up clicking whatever. She gets like the one that's like $40. But we're still like super excited. And this like nosy person, which I would never do this. This nosy person like comes over, she's like, how much you guys win? We're like, what?
Get out of here.
Go back to your own slots. Get away from us. But no, I think we were acting like we won a jackpot. When really we didn't win that much money. I guess when it comes to us, though, it was a lot of money as far as like slots go. We never win anything in slots.
Sure.
So, but that was
experience your first win on the slots.
Yeah, we'll be back. Kelsey's obsessed with that game to the point of where she's like, hey, because we have our our tracker on, where we can see where each other are on our phones. And she's like, hey, if you ever like try to locate me and I'm at Bellagio, I'm playing Foo Babies. I'm like, okay. I do have one other thing to talk about, Uli.
Yeah.
Have you had a chance to rip these yet?
So I have an order in.
Okay.
And it was supposed to be here yesterday. It was in South Carolina. Tracking's like, yeah, it's coming today.
Oh, gosh.
I look at it. I didn't come, so I looked at it today. And it's in Florida for some reason. So
for our listeners, this is Brixton Disc Golf. This is the disc golf. This is disc golf sports cards. Really, really fun product. We probably opened like 30 boxes, something like that, on our show on Whatnot. And I thought it'd be fun, Uli, to give one of these packs away to one of our listeners. So all you have to do is make sure you like the video.
Well, first, open one.
I'm going to open it, and we're going to give away the cards.
Okay.
So we can see what the cards are.
Well, can you just open one for me real quick?
Do you want it to be the giveaway one? I'm explaining the giveaway.
I want it for me.
So if you're listening and not watching this live right now on YouTube, or if you're watching this on YouTube later, all you have to do to win one of these, we'll announce the winner next week. All you have to do to win a pack is make sure you like the video here on YouTube. Make sure you're subscribed right here to Foundation Podcast on YouTube, and leave a comment who your favorite player is. Let's do that. Your favorite player. Uli, which one should we give away? We'll go left to right.
Okay,
one through 8,
4.
left to right. 4. So that's right, this one right here.
Yep.
Okay, here we go.
Come on. Rip something good for them.
Let's see if we can get an auto in here for the people. Let's see if we can get an auto.
I know you can.
I haven't seen actually anyone pull our card, Uli. I've only heard people say that they've pulled our card. All right, we're starting off. Who's that?
Jennifer Allen.
Jennifer Allen. We're starting off with Jennifer Allen. You might have to help me because it's very small.
Sarah Hokum. Okay.
Sarah Hokum. I think it's Maria
Oliva.
Yep, Maria Oliva. Oh, we got an auto. Gavin Phillips, rookie.
Gavin Phillips rookie card.
Gavin Phillips rookie. There you go. This guy's got some of the craziest.
Is it
numbered? Not numbered. This guy's got some of the craziest outfits though. He'll wear like really, really short, like shorts. Ooh, this is one of my favorites too. Oh, it's a Page. Is that Page Shoe? Yeah, Page Shoe Wonder Bread.
That's good stuff.
Is it too blurry for the people?
No, I think they can see it. Yeah,
you guys can see it. I'm sorry.
I can.
We're trying to figure out the blur situation, guys. We might not have to go. We're doing one more. We're giving away more of our pack because it's too fun. It's too fun to open. So we're doing one more pack. You guys get both packs. The winner gets both packs. Oh my gosh, it's so blurry. I literally have no idea why it's blurry.
I can keep going. I'll tell them what it is.
It's Andrew Fish.
Andrew Fish, yeah.
People want Simon here.
Adam Hammis.
All right, Adam on the base.
Missy Gannon.
We're going to pull from the back because that's not the hit card.
Oh, another Wonder Bread.
Morgan Lenz, I believe.
Lenz.
Oh, people are going to like this one. People are going to like this one. A little legacy Paul McBeth. Was that 2013?
That's a big card.
Second World Championship. There you go. All right. So all those cards will be sent out to one of you guys.
One for me. Come on.
All right, one for Uli.
Yeah.
All right. Which one do you want, Uli?
Give me 4. I'm sticking with 4.
4. Okay.
4 was the auto, dude.
4.
I'm hitting
right, one for Uli. One for Uli. Okay, here we go.
All right, chat.
We'll go from the back first to get the
Ooh. Gavin Babcock.
Okay, here we go.
Germ Colling.
Big Germ.
Oh,
Scott Stokely.
Matt Bell. And then
this is one of my favorite inserts. These are so sick. Who is it though?
Tokyo?
Yeah, these are sick. Who is it?
Tokyo.
Is that Ezra? Ezra Robinson on the Tokyo.
Kind of a fire card. All right, give that to the winner too.
All right. These are all going to the winners. Wow, the winner.
Nice job.
The winner's getting a lot of nice cards.
Yep.
Winner's getting a lot of nice cards. All right, so make sure you like, comment on the video. If you're live with us right now, you're gonna have to come back and comment on it so we can pick a winner.
You need to, whenever you see these at your sports cards
pick them
spot or wherever. It's so fun. Very addicting though. Be careful. Very addicting.
Yes. I've always told everyone with sports cards, because obviously there's a lot of stuff that's changed since COVID. You know, I did some research about the sports cards industry because we're kind of deep into it now. You need to view sports cards like bingo, something like that, of where you're showing up, you're going to spend a certain amount of money, and whatever you spend, you're willing to lose all of it.
Yeah.
You don't look at sports cards as a way to get rich. That's not the best. That's bad. It's the same thing as gambling, right? You don't go to a casino thinking, I need to walk out of here with $1,000. You walk in with $100. If you leave with 0, you're still very fun. It's very fun. It's very happy.
Hit this bad boy the other day. This is a decent card right here.
What do you got? What do you got?
What up?
Michael? PSA.
That's a Michael Jordan mint 9.
Ooh, little Jordan.
Yeah, number 4 out of 20.
Ooh, I love it. I love it.
Okay.
Very nice.
Anyways.
But yeah, no, shout out to Brixton. They're doing great stuff. Go check them out. BrixtonDiscGolf.com, I believe, is what they are as well. All right.
Little dilly.
We are going to send it over to our friends at Prize Picks here, and we'll be right back. Today's show is sponsored by Prize Picks. Prize Picks is the best way to win real money this football season. Which players are going off? Which ones aren't? Make your picks in less than 60 seconds and turn your sports opinions into real money all season long on Prize Picks. Prize Picks also offers weekly promotions that can lead to big payouts like Taco Tuesday. Each Tuesday, Prize Picks discounts select player projections up to 25% to provide even more value for your lineups. This week on PrizePicks, I'm looking at the football board and selecting Justin Jefferson for more than 83.5 receiving yards and Patrick Mahomes for less than 267.5 passing yards. Also, I like Tyreek Hill for more than 97.5 receiving yards and Saquon Barkley for more than 67.5 rush yards. Download the app today and use code TOURLIFE to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Again, use the code TOURLIFE to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks, run your game. Back, or they're saying we're muted? Oh, we're back? Okay. People are saying silent horse. All right. I want to do a little recap of the Grippy Awards. Silas, you jump in too. If anything jumps out at you as like, oh my gosh, how did that person win, or how did that win? I'm just gonna run through them here. So the first one, again, this is from Grip Lock. They do this every year. They pick out these awards, so don't come after us, come after them. Breakout Player of the Year. The nominees for FPO were Annika Sten, Emily Weatherman, and Silva Saarinen. Silva ended up winning that one. Yeah. I think that's pretty good.
She won like 5 tournaments in a row or something crazy.
She played, that 1 month was insane. Breakout Player of the Year for MPO, you have Ezra Robinson, Anthony Barella, and Nicolas Antilla. Anthony Barella being the winner there.
Yeah.
That makes sense to me as well. All right, Firefest of the Year. So for those that don't know, Firefest was the name of that festival that was supposed to happen in the Bahamas. It just blew up and it was terrible, and they made all that Netflix about it. So this is like the bad stuff that happened in disc golf. You have House of Disc restructuring and then laying off a whole bunch of people.
Yeah.
You have Prodigy releasing Kevin Jones and Vino in the middle of the season.
Okay.
And then you have Jay Ray doing his magic trick, disappearing $26,000 in front of everyone. And the Jay Ray $26,000 was the winner, which
do they have his address, or
they don't send those to him.
I'm just kidding.
Not the bad ones.
I don't think that one gets sent out. They actually do send out really sick awards. You got it back there somewhere, right?
Yeah. You want me to show?
I think I have. Yeah, I have mine here. Let me grab mine.
Oh yeah. Longest podcast.
Yep. Bang.
And then I got 2, dude.
We got our Grippies right here, folks. Grippies right here.
I got 2. It's hard for me to grab with my bad arm, but check this out. Most improved.
Oh, heck yeah. Yeah, we got Grippies all over the place. Yeah. They're heavy too. Like they are.
That's what I'm saying. I had to grab it with my right arm. It's so weak.
they are nice trophies.
All right, I'm back, baby.
Okay, next one. This is the big one. Longest podcast, right?
Yeah.
You've got the 24-hour putting live stream, which I don't know how they put that as a podcast. I mean, hats off to them. That was very impressive that they did that. I'm not considering that a podcast. More than half the time, they weren't even talking. Yeah. So, Smashbox, that's our biggest rival every year. And then Tour Life. Uli, we went back to back.
Back to back?
We went back to back. Silas, longest podcast, back to back Grippy winners.
Congratulations, guys.
We did it. I feel good. Well, hey, we'll keep trying to, improve and do even better next year for you guys.
Yeah, longer and longer for you guys.
Yeah, we'll just keep going longer and longer. Most improved player. Nominees, Luke Taylor, Ezra Robinson, and Joseph Anderson. Winner being Joseph Anderson. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
For the females, you had Rebecca Cox, Holland Hanley, Evelina Solonen. I don't agree with this one. They went with Evelina. I like Holland here.
Same. Yeah, I like Holland because
Evelina won
a major before.
But yeah, Evelina was like very good though.
Like Evelina, look at last year. She didn't win a single tournament last year.
But was she close to winning? I think she was close to winning and just couldn't putt well, right, Silas? Or no? Am I crazy here?
No, that's probably true. But I mean, she still improved.
But
From
like
0
Holland
wins
wins,
to winning, from going to 0 wins to
but Holland had
winning.
0 wins last year.
Yeah, but Evelina won Worlds.
Okay, people are saying Evelina won 2 majors last year.
Evelina won 2 last year?
2 majors is what people in the chat are saying.
Oh.
Oh, this year. No, they're saying this year.
Okay.
This year.
Yeah.
Sorry.
That makes sense.
Okay. So she didn't win anything last year and won 2 majors this year. I guess
are you sure she didn't win anything last year? Come on.
That seems wild to me.
I don't think so.
But we gotta check that. We gotta check that.
The thing I'm looking at here, though, is I'm not really looking at like wins losses for this. I'm kind of almost looking at like skill level.
As a player.
Yeah, I feel like Holland just got a lot better.
Yeah.
Right? Am I crazy in that? I just feel like Holland got a lot better.
Yeah, I guess they're going from year to year though. Like they used last year. How good were you? They're not doing like, all right, this guy was this good, and then. Which makes sense.
I guess.
I hope they're doing it like that. Otherwise, it's silly.
The Manufacturer Cup award that Edwin was kind of showing throughout the season, that finally finished up. Innova was at 3rd place, Discraft at 2nd, and Discmania finished in 1st.
Nice
with
shot.
Basically Gannon Buhr just racking up so many points
winning
this year.
Everything. Yeah.
Player of the year. This was kind of interesting. Player of the year. They picked Gannon Buhr, 2015 Paul McBeth, 1995 Climo, and they're kind of putting their foot in the sand on what side they lie on. They went with Gannon Buhr.
All right.
For the FPO, I think Missy definitely has a little bit of a say. You got Missy, Evelina, and Kristen Tatar. I think Missy winning at the end definitely put her name a little bit closer, but I still think you give it to Kristen. I think
same.
I think you got to give it to Kristen.
Too many wins, too consistent.
Yeah, especially when we were like thinking that she wasn't playing good this season,
and then we look
and then
at
you
it,
look
she
and you're like,
won the most. You're like, whoa.
You're like, she still played better than everyone else.
Yeah.
Okay, worst take of the year, Uli.
Oh,
I didn't even put the other nominations, because this was by far the worst take of the year. We luckily, I don't know how, Silas, how the heck did none of us get on there?
I was just gonna say, what did I win? When am I getting my trophy?
The person with the worst take, it was the worst take.
Yeah, the worst take definitely won, but I was surprised none of what we said, Yuli, got nominated.
That's true. They don't watch this podcast.
Which one it is?
Okay, they don't watch the podcast, because I was gonna say we've had some bad takes.
Okay.
We've had some bad takes.
Really bad. Was it next week? I'm like, yeah,
you literally were like saying like Kristen can't win from behind, and then the next week she like came back from like 8 or something.
At the European Open, the major. So funny.
So this was on debate night. We had Robbie C on, and we were picking like who's going to underperform the most at Worlds, going into Worlds.
Yeah.
Robbie C proceeds to not just say underperform, but also double downs and says will not place in the top 15. He picked Isaac Robinson, who ended up going and winning Worlds. And he picked Evelina, who ended up going and winning Worlds. He picked the 2 people that ended up winning Worlds as underperformers.
That's good.
I mean, you can't make a worse take than that. You can't.
You got me crying over here. That's so funny. That seems like something I would do, man. Like,
he was so adamant too. He's like, these people are not going to play well at all. Just they have no shot. Man. Okay. Best tour life host. So this was like a new award this year. Mm-hmm. It was between me, you, and Silas, and they picked Missy Gannon.
Perfect.
Yeah, I think Brad should have won, honestly.
Yeah, Brad wins.
I think Brad got snubbed here. I agree. Brad should have got that one for sure. That would be a good award though, like best guest. Best guest. I would love to see that, as a fan, who they thought the best guest could. Because like this year we had some really great guests. People love Brad.
Yeah.
Scott Stokely, people loved having Scott on. That was great. Ricky, whenever Ricky comes on, was great. The Calvin Zach Melton episode was great. We've had a lot of really
amazing.
Kristen's always awesome. Yeah, we've had a lot of really good guests. So let us know, who did you guys think was the best guest this year so far? We still have a couple episodes left before the year is all out. All right, let's see what else we got. Biggest choke of the year.
Oh,
so
man.
They put themselves in there as grip lock because they forgot about AB's choke last year for this award.
Yeah.
So like he should have won it last year, and they didn't even nominate him. So no, it's the biggest choke is them choking at picking the award last year for leaving out AB.
Oh, good.
Ben Calloway at Jonesboro, that was tough. That was just throwing it straight into the water.
Really?
That wasn't great.
That
wasn't the winner. That wasn't the winner. These are all nominees. Ricky Wysocki at the Tour Championship.
Okay.
Kat Merch and Holland Hanley at Worlds, just not being able to beat someone that can't putt. And then Luke Humphreys at Waco, just needing to par hole 18.
What about Evelina at the European Championships?
I think that they left that out. I don't know why they left that one out, because she definitely choked that one away.
Yeah.
She had a 7-shot lead. They gave it to Ricky Wysocki at the Tour Championship is what they gave it. Spotter of the year. This is another big one. Spotter of the year. The diver that caught Madison Walker's disc
at
OTB. The Jedi on hole 16 at DDO.
Okay.
And the spotter that tried to rope-a-dope Double G's roller between his legs at Ledgestone. That one won. That one won. That was a pretty no-brainer. All right, we have, and the final one that I have written down here is best performance of the year. Isaac Robinson at Worlds, Gannon Buhr at the Tour Championship, or Andrew Presnell at Champions Cup. God. What do you guys think? Silas, do you know which one they picked?
Yeah, I know which one they picked.
Okay. I gotta say it has to be Gannon. That was so fun to watch.
All right. Silas, what do you think?
Yeah.
What would you pick?
No, so I was in this conversation when they were picking it. It's gotta be Gannon. It's gotta be.
I think at the time, Andrews was really impressive.
Yep.
But then there is a thing too about recency bias. Gannon was the last one. It's a no-brainer for me. I think I gotta go with Gannon. Because he was playing so crazily good too. It wasn't and also Ricky was playing really well too, right?
Yeah, it was a battle.
You kind of the Presnell one, it didn't really feel like anyone was really playing incredible. He just played so consistent over the course of the tournament. So
yeah, and the choke one, that's tough for me because Ricky didn't necessarily, he wasn't just whiffing 15 footers, you know what I mean?
No, Gannon chased him down, yeah.
He was making 80 footers here and there.
I don't know if it was the biggest choke because I don't think those guys have played that course. Maybe they have.
That's what I'm saying, yeah.
Maybe they have. Have you guys played that course yet, Silas?
Which one?
Have you guys played Nevin?
I think Hunter has. I don't know if Trevor has. I think Hunter did in college, if I remember correctly.
If you've played that course, it's not crazy to go out and shoot 7 under and then the next day go out and shoot 2 under and feel like you played just about the same. It is what it is. So I agree. I don't think that that was the biggest choke. I think Evelina, the one that they didn't have, Evelina at European Open.
They messed up again.
Yeah, because that course is. Yeah, they can't get it right. They can't get that one right. So maybe they'll give it to themselves next year. Who knows?
Maybe we should make our own awards show ourselves.
We'll see if people like that. Yeah, see if people
and then we'll actually have good awards.
All right, Uli, you ready for this?
Yeah.
We are bringing on the man, the myth, the legend himself.
Sweet.
Crazy John Brooks joins Tour Life now. Thank you so much for joining. How's it going?
That's why I need makeup.
No, you're good. You're good. Okay, so I got an email from you saying that you wanted to come on the show and talk, and I'm always down to have people come on that has stories or opinions or whatever. At the time that you sent the email, I don't have the greatest, like, one thing that is super lacking in disc golf is just the history of it, right? Like it's not told all that often, or when you're watching coverage or anything like that. Like that's how I kind of learn a lot of my stuff in other sports. I'm not really going back into the history books and looking. It's more of what I consume now and is talked about now. And so I was unfamiliar with who you were, but you sent a link, and I'm wondering, Silas, can you play this link real quick? Just a few seconds of it, just so everyone can kind of get a gist. This is the 2015 World Championships, I believe. And let's see, can we get audio on this too, Silas?
He's stepping in, wanting to wipe that slate clean from one. There's that form we've come to see so much of this season.
Big Uls in the corner.
Yeah, you're in there, Uli.
Reminded to stay still, those of you helping us in the audience. Doss will have this left for par. Oh, and it just glances left, just having some trouble focusing. We saw that
Big Uls.
earlier today with
Big Uls.
Barry as
Tap in.
well.
All right, I think that's good right now.
Wait, 1 second.
You want to? Oh yeah, he misses this too.
yeah.
That's one go.
That's tough.
Yeah, that is tough.
He still beat me in the
That's
tournament.
one go.
Okay,
Taking it
I
on the
wanted
chin
people just to hear a little bit of that, because when I watched that, I was like, this is what I've been saying disc golf needs for so long. I thought that was incredible. One, I just want to kind of give you some compliments right here, if that's okay with you. One, you have a great voice, which I think is huge.
Thank
right?
you, sir.
I don't know how this podcast works. I don't have a great voice, so I don't know how people can listen to me this long. You actually have a fantastic voice. People are wondering why you're whispering. He was literally 15 feet away from the action, folks. He's doing the same thing that they do in golf, where they're literally right there on the action, best angle, best view. Now, did you guys have any production back? Like, did they have anything like they have now, where they have people in the booth somewhere else?
So thanks, Brodie, for bringing this up. This was some real fun times. You know, the early days of Disc Golf Planet TV under Dr. John Dusler. And you're right. That was the old golf talk. You know, I've got my fact books and my cheat sheets covering up my microphone and my voice so I don't distract the players. And that's actually done a lot on PGA broadcasts, as you probably know. You know, our production package was pretty lightweight just because the budget wasn't there. So everything is connected to what the funding is all about. As you know, it takes a village nowadays. So Disc Golf Pro Tour and Disc Golf Network are operating with a huge surplus and bank of support, whereas in these days with Dr. John and with Disc Golf Planet, we did the best with what we had. It was about 5 or 6 people that used to do these entire shows. So that particular show, I remember in Portland, we had John Dusler in Philadelphia calling the show. We had Pat Brogdon in Houston, Texas on the TriCaster switching the show. And we've got Terry Roddy and Dustin Roddy on 2 different cameras, and then Crazy on a microphone doing a walk and talk for the entire tournament for 5 days in a row.
So were you the only one doing the commentary? There wasn't another person?
At this particular event, yeah, we didn't have a back end, like a booth like Dave Greenwell and Rebecca Duffy and I would do at the USDGC. So we'd have time to set up at the farm, and of course Terry and John Poole, giving us anything he possibly could to support the project. So, but yeah, you do the best with what you have, and that's kind of the fun of it. And, but I appreciate those words because it means a lot. A player working into a commentary, that is pretty much a dream scenario. So I really enjoyed it while I did that. Love to do that again.
Yeah. I've always said the way that they currently have the commentary is backwards. I always look at golf because we're playing the same exact sport. We just throw a Frisbee into a basket, they hit a golf ball into a hole. We should be looking at what they do a lot of times to see like, hey, can we implement this into disc golf? And the way that golf does it is the people on the ground do the commentary. They talk, they do all that, and they send it to the people in the booth who tell you the storylines and what's going on around, and they piece it all together. And they're like, all right, we're going to go to hole 17 now for Tiger Woods' second shot. And then it's boom, the person on the ground saying what's going on. Yeah. But disc golf is backwards. You have everyone in the booth trying to do their best to be like, well, it looks like he's like going to line up a forehand here. Their disc is in the air now and it lands. Oh, is that in bounds? Nate Perkins, can you see that? Is that in? It's backwards. It's complete. And I don't understand. Do you have any idea why it's backwards?
Well, I mean, backwards is, to me, that's just a word. But we're looking at production. And by the way, I just, not to correct you, but I did not send an email. I believe you're thinking about Joey Boland, who's a dear friend here at Kansas City.
Send an email about you then.
That's from what I understand.
Oh, okay. I stand correct. Yeah, I was sent the email from whoever he sent it to Foundation to me. So I apologize there. But yeah, no, someone I guess really wanted you on the show. When I watched that video, I was like, I got to get this guy on the show. Why is he not a part of disc golf right now?
Well, thanks for that. Well, I live, eat, and drink and dream disc golf, so I think that counts a little bit.
Well, I'm saying more on the Pro Tour side. Like, what happened? Like, how did you go from commentating a World Championship to 2015 and, not having I when I watched that, I was like, I want to hear more of this. Why am I not hearing more of this?
Yeah, I appreciate those words, Brodie. I really do. Let me tell you a quick scenario that occurred so that it didn't allow Disc Golf Planet TV to continue. It's a bit of a bittersweet story. I'll shorten it up for you. But Dr. John Dusler Jr., who's the masthead, the executive producer, executive director of Disc Golf Planet TV, developed the product so that we could send these events live. We're live streaming. It's not broadcasting, it's casting broadly. But what the original concept is the players and fans that can't be there, we've got to feed them. We need to get them something because disc golf is so bubbling hot, and it has been for a while. But the mountain to climb was to how do we get these images and sounds and sights and emotions to the people that couldn't join. So in a matter of days, maybe within 2 weeks' time, John Dusler, Dr. John, who works also with CBS Sports, CBS Golf, through the connections with Terry Roddy, and they have developed a rapport with all of these networks and with Broadcast Sports Incorporated. I believe it's BSI. They developed a relationship so that the secret weapon was being developed at this time at Disc Golf Planet, where John and Terry we picked up an incredible genius production assistant named Richie Dobson. He came on board and he committed himself to learning and designing and building and operating and training on drones, on a UAV. So Richie's just amazing. He went in and got his federal pilot's license. So in a matter of a year's time, after Richie had been studying, John and Terry had been planning, networking, Richie got his pilot license. He'd been practicing piloting all along. They were able to swing a deal with these companies so that Disc Golf Planet TV, in the matter of about 2 weeks' time, became the #1 UAV or drone camera supplier to CBS Sports and to the PGA.
Wow.
So we literally had to, pack up and leave. I wasn't part of that particular product. So, I basically spent some time in the dust there. But I'm just so excited to see, Dr. John and Terry and Richie go ahead forward and really kick some ass. And they have become the premier supplier for UAV sports footage. I mean, these guys are doing the Masters. They're the first to do 2 live broadcasts. They took 2 drones at a time this last Masters, I believe it was. But they're the first to fly over NCAA football stadiums in Georgia, first to fly over NFL, doing these stadium tours. So they really came up with an incredible product, and went from one exciting project right into the next. So kudos, and to those that spend the most toil come the biggest success, and that's what I hope for them. So when you're watching golf and you're watching pro sports, sometimes you never know. That's probably going to be Kaze aerials.
That's cool.
So,
I didn't know that.
Something that disc golf gave to the world as far as professional sports go, and they are awesome.
That is a cool. I never knew that. I mean, I had heard about that company being like one of the first to kind of do the live broadcasting back for disc golf, but that's kind of crazy that they went on and to do some big things in the sports world.
And they still are. I mean, Dr. John's on the road all the time. Rich Dobson, he has, found his own niche in another realm of UAV piloting. So Terry Roddy, of course, he's still partners. And I'll tell you what, they're putting out a great product. It'd be nice if they could come do some disc golf. Hey, can we get a freebie?
Yeah. Well, me and Uli were talking about this at the Tour Championship. We saw just based off the topography of the course, they were able to have like a camera maybe 50, 70 feet behind the tee, but up high. And it was the best shot of disc golf all year. And I was like, that's what we need to try to be doing on these shots, is like way behind the player and high, because then you don't have to zoom out or cut to another camera angle, and we can see the whole flight of the disc the whole time, and it's just a great view.
That's a great dynamic. You're right.
Yeah.
It's hard to find. It's hard to block. It's hard to set up. It's hard to fund.
100%.
But, I do remember in 2014 or 15, Disc Golf Planet TV, we were able to become the first to take a live take from a live drone shot. So it was at USDGC, super fun. That the lake there in Winthrop Farm, it's just it's a dessert tray of camera angles out there. So
yeah, a lot of times they use the drone. In my opinion, they use the drone way too high, and it's like a straight down shot. And to me, like watching a Frisbee fly from that angle is not very interesting. I want to see it turn left to right. I want to see it go, change in elevation. And when it's like that top to down, I just lose it a little bit. And I get it. They don't want the drone too close because of the noise. But I don't know. I think the drone does a good job of like showcasing maybe like the lay of the land, the hole. I just don't think the way that they're currently using it's that great for actual shots.
Well, you're right about those side angles are delicious, especially if you've got a longer throw than most. So they really do show a lot more of the dynamic. Not as much the player, but the flight of the disc. I mean, everybody says that's why I play, because of the flight of the disc. Well, it's also entertaining to watch. You can learn a little bit from that, but it's more about production values. Yeah. And to your point, more is good.
Yeah. So are you wanting to be involved in the production side of the Disc Golf Pro Tour and the Disc Golf Network? Is that something that you would, if you got a call tomorrow, would that be something that you would, entertain for next season?
Oh yeah, I love that stuff. I still feel like I have my best work ahead of me. But I'm not the boss, and I don't think a lot of people know Crazy John because of this shift. We've had this newest 2 generations, I think, where since I haven't been playing as much and out there visibility wise as much, you can kind of get passed by, so to speak. I don't think it's anybody's fault. I got a face for radio. That might be the big problem, though.
Well, I mean,
I would do that in a heartbeat. I love the action, and I love telling stories about disc golf and the tournament towns, the behind the scenes stories.
Yeah,
there's a lot of history to be unveiled here, and still the players, I think they deserve to hear a lot more of the stories that kind of help build the castle, not just who's at the top, but how we got there. And there's a lot of great stories to share.
Can't hear you, Uli.
That's it for tonight. We're done.
Can you give us a little background of like when you started playing and the success you had as a player, and then when did that shift over to the production side and commentary, on-course commentary, and then to where you are today, I guess?
There's a big gap in the middle. Freestyle kind of meandered in and out of that whole thing. But thanks, Paul. It's good to see you.
You too, man.
And by the way, I'm proud of you too, carrying on the way you do. It's great to help the players get a little bit of a breath, some fresh air in between events. And this is a great way for people to vent and explore, and like you say, turn your curiosities up. But for me, I got the bug. I got the Frisbee bug in college. I went to Ole Miss. I was a trombone major. And then I got hooked. I dumped second semester classes, kept all my music classes, left for Kansas City, and then was playing trombone at night so I could play Frisbee all day. Thanks to people like Stork and Jim Kenner and Al Kurz, freestyle took a front seat. So I still had that overall mentality, and I still appreciate that. Back then we had 7-8 different events that we'd play at these larger tournaments. So it was pretty fun. Disc golf was more of the vacation for me because I was so focused on freestyle and maybe distance. But it took a while to get very proficient at golf, honestly, like I wanted to do. But there's really no connection. There is no straight line in my Frisbee career at all. So most of my recognition came from freestyle. And that comes with a lot of appearances and what have you, and all the hoopla. So when disc golf started becoming, my mainstay, Bud Light helped that quite a bit.
Wow.
Ran the Bud Light team for 9 or 10 years. 8 or 9 years, actually.
Why do you think companies like that were more involved? Because I've heard about this, other big companies like that sponsoring tournaments. Why do you feel like that was happening, years ago and not really happening now?
Well, we had a solid product. We could go anywhere, anytime, right now, anywhere, get that Frisbee flying, we would be right there at the front edge of whatever Anheuser-Busch wanted us to do, be it, rock concerts or touring with Stevie Ray Vaughan, or we're playing LSU Tiger Stadium, or we're doing the Kingdom, or there was no limit. So
you're talking freestyle.
Yeah, it's freestyle here with Budweiser.
Yeah.
Okay.
Champion Bud Light Frisbee team. Yeah.
Oh, Bud Light. Okay.
So, we were able to take the Frisbee front row, and that's marketable. That's something that, those kind of impressions are hard to find with disc golf. You have to bring a ton of people to you to get disc golf those kind of numbers and viewership. And whereas my goal was to take Frisbee where it hasn't been before and where it should be and where it can go, where it has the most potential to blow the most minds. That was the whole mentality behind that. And it's a promotion, let's face it. Trying to get people excited, have a beer, and, maybe gain a little bit of loyalty in the end run. That's all it was. So these people that I might mention this evening, I'm a byproduct, I think. I'm the luckiest person that I know. But it's because of the help and the love and the guidance and mentoring from a lot of really amazing people. So I feel I'm still kind of a byproduct of y'all, of anybody that loves Frisbee. You're my friend. That's something that Dr. Jim Mason used to say, Ace Mason. If you play Frisbee, you're my friend. So this all comes from deep-seated passion, honestly. I know you guys know what I'm talking about. You don't want to quit anything that you care about.
Yep.
But going back to your question, Paul, moving in and out of freestyle, and that was paying the bills, and you don't stop that train. Once the Bud Light team took a bit of a hiatus after my coordinator changed in '89, and I chose to not renew my contract and specialize in golf and stick with disc golf. So in 1987, I was lucky enough to win the Japan Open, the first Japan Open, the Lark Japan Cup. So that just created a volcano for me. And I went back and started working full time. I'd stay in Japan 1 month, 2 months, 5 months, 6 months, and we just do shows and tournaments and clinics and promotions. And every day, all by ground miles and driving, and that'll really strengthen the heart muscles, when you do that. And I'm so thankful for Japan too. They've done so much for me, and I really consider myself part of the Japanese family there. Some of my best friends are there. And when Japan started to, I would say, not really fade, but the priorities changed. The tournament, the Japan Open, just grew so fast after so much planning. This was so difficult to put on a major event in Japan. You've got 20 steps on that ladder, where here in the States, you just need to know somebody with some cash and somebody that owns, a business, and you can put on an event. And in Japan, things are much more, I would call it conventional and methodical, and there's a lot of protocol and a lot of tradition that needs to be maintained and upheld in Japan. And that's why the events there are so special, memorable, and entailed. So I think it's just Japan's way of wanting to do the very best at whatever it may be. And in this case, was producing a large major disc golf tournament. So my attendance there kept growing and growing and growing, and then we got to a good spot, and then my knees are what held me back. So I didn't really make my way into Disc Golf Planet TV and the live commentary. I kind of ended up there because I couldn't walk the course. So I think my last event on the old knees was the Fountain Hills Thrills in Arizona. So I did go out, on that long run, like a 12-year hiatus I took, but I did go out with a win, and that kept the heart warm. So I got my knees replaced a while back, and been playing. Won the Japan Open last year, as a matter of fact.
Okay. What about any deep runs at the World Championship?
Real quick, Paulie, just to get to that introduction to Dr. John Dusler about the commentary. I just happened to be there one day. I went to see my crew after working in Los Angeles. Some of the crew lived in Phoenix, so I went out there. It's the same weekend as the memorial, and Dusler had everything set up. And he said, "Hey, why don't you grab a mic and let's see what you got." So it was that. I did some interviews, and then he asked me back the next year.
Wow.
Terry Miller was there in the beginning with Dave Greenwell, and then I believe it was Terry Miller moved on to Smashbox, and then Dave and I stayed in the booth there for Disc Golf Planet.
Wow.
Thanks, Paul. Your question was, you said something about the World Championships.
Yeah, I distinctly remember seeing you in the World Championships. You've made a couple deep runs. Second place, am I right?
I think there are a couple seconds. I don't know.
Because you're being awfully modest about your disc golf career, being like, yeah, I won the Japan Open once, and I'm pretty sure this guy was like twice. Yeah. I'm pretty sure
6 years apart. Whoa.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I was pretty sure that you were challenging Climo at a few tournaments.
That's like the Kansas City Wide Open, KCWO. We used to call that the Kenny Climo Wide Open. So I came from that school. I got a lot of dust. I still have dust in my armpits from following Kenny. So a lot of my success was powered by the players that I wanted to achieve next to and to emulate. So Kenny he's still my favorite. I think him and Sam Ferrens and Jerry Garrett. I've been lucky enough to make friends with a lot of people and take a little bit of each with me. But in the world starting on, Kenny's first win was in 1990 at Phoenix, and the final course was Vista del Camino. And I think I was just a couple behind him to start that final. So we had traded off the lead, I think, 6 times. If you go back and look at that, we traded off. We used to play 8 rounds, a cut, and then a semi, and then a final. So 10 rounds in 5 days. And but Kenny and I had a lot of fun. Hats off to him for that's not an easy job to be Kenny. So saying he is the real deal. So it was part of my rocket fuel, and yeah, we did well. I think I came out with. I made the final 6 of my 8 years playing in the World Championship.
There you go.
Wow.
There he is. See, this
Jeez.
guy's the real deal.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Gosh.
But
I went from 2nd to 4th in that final in Arizona.
Okay.
how do you feel about the landscape of disc golf currently? Like the Pro Tour, we're talking mostly just the Pro Tour and, DGN with the subscription model, the majors. How do you feel about all that now? Are you happy to see where it's gone? Do you think there needs to be a lot of improvement? Do you think disc golf's growing too quickly?
I think there's some growing pangs that we can sense, vicariously through the players, and it's a lot of pressure. You're gonna live your life in the spotlight, like you both have. Brodie, you've spent a lot of time in solo frame, doing things, entertaining and living and and thriving. And Paul, you've done the same. You've done a whole lot more than make putts with your disc golf career too. So that's something to be really proud of. I think and this is just me, but I am more concerned for the players for their mental welfare right now, so they don't have too much too quick. Getting a bunch of money and not knowing what to do with it. Having some advisors come on online for you. And I hope the PDGA is staying aware of keeping things fair and square, which I'm sure they do. But I'm more speaking as a player advocate because it's a lot. You already have the travel, you already have the cost to play. Remember, you still got to pay to play.
Yep.
So, and it's not cheap. And I think that I love all these images that make disc golf look so incredible. So that's kudos to the Disc Golf Network, for bringing these incredible pictures and pictures and the courses, and they can take you up close.
Pet cricket.
Yeah, we have crickets here in the house. I thought I paid that guy. It is the Bug Man. It's the Bug Man. He's at the front. I'm sorry, buddy. I can't stop it. With the players being my concern, I think it's great that their intellectual properties are growing real fast, and you do have success on one hand. On the other hand, is when you make an extreme effort to do something like be a tour player. That's a huge commitment. Like in the old days, we'd put people in the car until we couldn't get any more people in the car. And what fit in the trunk is what we're going to bring with you. And nobody knows who's going to win. We're all acting like, it's a for sure win for everybody. But again, this is passion driven. So if the passion stays there and it's well seated, like within the Pro Tour, within the Disc Golf Network, if passion is there, then the finished product it'll be worth the effort. It'll be worth our time to wait and watch. As far as the landscape, where do we go from here? It's going really fast. It's going up really fast. It's growing. Find a belt with enough loops on it. You wonder where we go from here and what's going to be fun for everybody in 5 years. So it's a lot of work to try and plan ahead for this. But when you're asking this question, what do you think about disc golf, how it's doing right now? You're talking to a person who fell in love with this stuff, 45 years ago. So I'm really happy. I'm happy for the folks that came before me, the forefathers and foremothers, I guess is that what we call it, all those involved with building Frisbee sports, building disc golf to where it is right now. I hope that they can enjoy some of the fun. But I think the best is still yet to come. So we're having a heck of a time watching disc golf show off. And that's what I'm happy for. It's got to be fun for the crew too. Disc Golf Network. You got a lot of people.
Long hours, I heard.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. And I do like this one thing, just off the cuff though. In the old days, some of these tournaments, you couldn't find a restroom anywhere, but now they got them everywhere. So it's got 2 of them at hole 11. We got the trailer on 12. You can take a shower. So, you know, accommodations. Also, some of the growth is allowing some more fun and you know, some accommodations that means a lot to the players. I'm sure it does. So I'm nothing but excited.
Yeah, I think we're in the era too where like the niche community sport where like everyone knows everyone, everyone's friends, everyone, you know, obviously I think there's a lot of BS whenever it's like, I hope you do well. I hope you do well. But that small knit community, like we're kind of busting out of that. Right. And you look at any production, you know, whether it's the NFL, whether it's the PGA Tour, whether it's the NBA, any of these big sports that have multi-billion-dollar companies covering them, the fans always find something that they don't like, right? And you're going to get that with disc golf, and that's what's kind of happening right now is like the Disc Golf Network is getting pushback on, we don't like this commentator, we don't like this, the way you guys film. And also now it's starting to happen with the players, which I think is more on the newer side for a lot of these players, because again, back in the day, you really only had the people paying attention to you was really a much smaller audience that were more connected to you, right? Where now you have someone that might has never have meeting you before in person and has only watched you, and you did one thing on the course that really ticked them off, and now you're the worst and you're the scum of the earth and they're rooting against you, and that's difficult for some players to take. And I think it's just that bubble that we're kind of bursting out to, where like this is just what sports are. Some people are going to be the favorites and some people are going to love and cheer and root for you, and there's going to be people that rub you the wrong way, and people are going to not want to, you know, hope you do what bad. And I don't know. I think there's some people, I get the feeling some of the older players that have been around disc golf for a while, they don't like that. And I just feel like that is just what comes with something becoming more popular. Like when it's just like I'm sure you have like a niche band that you really like. That was a small band that only a couple people knew about, and everyone thought they were great. And then all of a sudden, once they get on the radio or they get a little bit bigger, now people are like, this sucks. What is this? And you're like, wait, what? It's the same thing in everything. The bigger you get, the more haters are going to come in. So what are your thoughts on that? Like, are you okay with that? Are you fine with that happening if disc golf continues to grow and more people are out there exposed to it?
That's growth. That's maturing. That is breaking the mold. So we don't know how it's going to be, because this is still the only time we've done this. You know, we haven't gone up and then down and up again. We're only on this climb. So disc golf and flying disc sports and frisbee sports have maybe hit a flat spot once in a while.
Yeah.
I have not really seen any decline other than 2 things. Freestyle, which is amazing. And there's still a small group of people, you know, less than 100 people that do it at the level I'm speaking of. And then the overall tournaments. I still thought those are the greatest events and the way to get the huge masses of players together. It really is still, you know, I'd love to put on one of those. But, you know, Brodie, the social platforms now, they're so active and they need to be fed with content, you know, content rules. So I think it's a delicate balance, you know, what is growth and what is just haters, because the haters, that's all they know how to do, really. And sometimes you know, they might cloak themselves during the day, but boy, when they get home, they can take that off and go in on the keypad and just bring hell on people. And you know, we can't really defend against that. We can only give it the best that we have. And you know, if you're thinking with your heart and the right part of your brain, you're going to bring good no matter what direction you're looking towards. So disc golf, I think, has so many things going for it, and some great people. So I'm still in awe of the players and the results that they're getting and the physical commitments that they're making. I know it's just a small group, small percentage of the overall population of professionals that are getting these awesome results and rewards. But I hope that number grows.
Yeah.
And I'm so thankful to see, like equal pay. I love that. I'm a big fan of Billie Jean King's, mantra of equal pay, and it works, and that belongs in pro sports. So I'm proud of disc golf. I'm proud of Disc Golf Pro Tour and bringing that forward. And if the PDGA had something to do with that, kudos to them. That's a great thing. I think we can't really be too picky because we're looking pretty good right now. I would like to. I feel like there could be some more outside the niche sponsors, some more corporate entities that might want to join on. But until we get that final product that goes on air in a certain level of perfection, I don't know. I think we'll have to wait a little bit longer for that. But that's something that I personally care about is bringing some of that out of market dollar towards pro disc golf, and that's a production value that hopefully will get addressed soon because it's there. You got to have a salesman.
Yeah.
But it's what you're selling is the most important part of the conversation.
Where do you stand on the PDGA?
Well, I'm one that I've experienced a bunch of support and understanding, and I worked with them for a long time with their events crew, and Brian Graham was very, very helpful in me and my career too. So the PDGA has a tough job. That's a big ship, and you can't turn a big ship too fast either way. And it's got to go from the captain down to the first mate, the XO, and then the nav person. So it's a big machine now. I hope that it can stay focused on the players' benefits as well as the sports outlook. And I think that the PDGA has done well to stay to keep their hands on the steering wheel of this thing because it can get out of hand.
Do you think though do you think that's a negative though of where they are trying to stay in power? They are trying to keep their stamp of approval on everything. Because I think that's a great analogy of they're trying to keep right now their hands on the steering wheel because like you said, a lot of stuff is happening, a lot of stuff is changing. And I feel like sometimes the Pro Tour feels handcuffed, tournaments feel handcuffed. Certain things just feel like we have to go through the PDGA or the PGA has to do it. And, you look at the USDGC, which the PDGA has no involvement in at all. And I just think that tournament's run better than any tournament we play all year.
Well, it's a private event. That's the bonus of being a private event and a private intellectual property. So it's developed from the seed. And the PDGA has been morphing to sometimes, even keep up with the sport. Mm-hmm. I mean, I think that their concerns are aimed well. And I think this hasn't been done before. So I think that they're learning on the job. And I know that they're concerned, they have to be because, that's... there's a profit margin here that has to be maintained too. You can't keep everybody happy, but you can focus on keeping the right people happy. I would look forward to finding out that the PDGA and Disc Golf Pro Tour had a really open, close, conversive, functional, flexible relationship with each other so that they can create a win-win rather than a meet once a year and discuss what happened. I like for them to be, up to date and in force and in effect on all projects. I mean, the PDGA is there to help us with, accreditation, and they're here with regulation, rules enforcement, codes, protocols. You have to have that. In a party this big, you got to have somebody that owns the house, so to speak, and then you got to have somebody that, that takes care of the house. So I don't know if anybody has one particular role, but it would be great that we could get the PDGA and Disc Golf Pro Tour to work as much as possible, hand in hand, and with the same goals in mind, with the players at the top of the list, and to not just get money into the players' hands, but get riches into the pages of the disc golf history book. We have to keep making history, but making good history, that's a great way to focus, all together, all for one for all.
Yeah, no, for sure.
In a perfect world.
Yeah, no, ideally. It'll be interesting to kind of see how it goes, because I have just, I've disagreed with some of the decisions they've made over the couple last years. And there's a couple things that I feel like they've dropped the ball and didn't really handle, the situation a way that you'd want the governing body of the sport to handle it. But like you said, it's growing pains. They're learning. Hopefully things get better. There are just a lot of things right now that, if we're looking at the Pro Tour as a product, which we should, I think there's a lot of things the PDGA should be doing to make the product better, and they're just not. And that's where it's like, I think if they weren't involved as much, I think the Disc Golf Pro Tour could just do it themselves and not have to hope the PDGA does it. So that's where I think it's a little, the power structure. I think the power structure should be more on the Disc Golf Pro Tour, and then they just use the rules that the PDGA, has across their events, but the Disc Golf Pro Tour can kind of do their own thing. And I don't know, Uli, what do you think? Like, sometimes it just feels like there's certain things where you're just like, why is this not happening? And it's like the PDGA is kind of always the one that's getting their fingers pointed, which I don't know, maybe it's not fair to point your fingers at them all the time, but that's what it seems like it's happening.
No, I definitely feel like they should be two separate things. I don't think they should be the same thing. I think they should be involved a little bit here and there. But when you're talking about the Pro Tour, the way I look at it is, how did you do before? And you look at the national tour and the tour that they had, and it did okay, but it didn't do as good as the Pro Tour's doing. So, and I think that's why they kind of went hands off and let them kind of do their own thing. But I do feel like they're involved in trying to be like, nah, you can't really do this. And it's tough to like change rules and on the fly and do those things, because there's a lot of hoops we got to jump through. But I also know that the PDGA has been around a long time. And if you look at how big disc golf is, and like you said, they're driving the ship, it's not in a bad direction. But you do have to be careful with the people at the top over there and who's doing things, which I know a couple of really good people over there that are really good friends to me. And I just wish that I guess my biggest problem is some of the rules that we have. I feel like it's time to change a few things, but other than that,
You like 2 minutes for the putt?
I honestly think, as far as the time thing goes, that's one of the things that I can't stand about the PDGAs. They send people to like the World Championships, and then you're watching a guy play in the World Championships, and then you call him on time. When I saw other people on the same card do the same thing, and then you didn't call him just because you want to look like you're doing your job. That's actually, to me picking out that you're not doing your job. You're trying to look like you're doing your job. And Brodie said this before, like it's like they're on a vacation.
Yeah.
And so I don't know. I've had personal experiences where I'm like, wait, no, I need your help. Why aren't you helping me? I need your help to fix a problem. Why isn't this going? So it's not necessarily it is necessarily the rules, but it's also the people that, should enforce them. Like, I shouldn't be, as a player, when I'm trying to win a world title, trying to be like, hey, speed up, dude. Like, you're breaking the rules when there's 3 officials following, trying to hold a crowd back. Like, you know what I mean? Like, they should be the ones calling that. And then when they do, I don't know. So I don't like the rule anyway. I think you should take as much time as you want. I don't care. As long as you're keeping up with the pace of play, take forever. I think, what do you think would be cooler? If somebody walked up to win the world championship and picked up his disc and tossed it in, or would you want him to sit over there and grind over it for a little bit? You know what I mean? And build up the drama, and everybody's wondering, is this going in? Is this not? The wind picks up. See, there's like in sports, like that's what you want. You want a little bit of anticipation. When you watch golf, guy hits the ball, it takes forever for it to hit the break, and you don't know if it's in or not. And it could be, you know, a 12-footer, and it takes a little bit to get there. So I think we should take as much time as we want. If you fall behind the line and it's your fault that you're falling behind the line and you're not keeping up with the card in front of you, then that's when you get your warning. But time's never been a big issue with me.
You know, that's a good point. That brings up the protocol of the PGA where they time the group, not the player. So, you know, when they get the chance to give a time warning, they give it to the entire group. So the group is paying the price and penance for one player, potentially. But I think that these are things that are going to end up morphing over the years, hopefully sooner than later. I know what you mean, though. It gets a little weird when you're sensing that someone is afraid to call a ruling on somebody. And I wasn't able to understand that sometimes.
Was that happening back in your day when you were playing?
Yeah. I mean, there were some rivalries where you could almost expect something.
A call coming. Yeah.
But otherwise, you know, it's kind of icky. I mean, it's like that fine line, Frisbee and rules. And then it's kind of like, what? Wait a minute, I'm throwing it. But when you start bringing the rule book into play, you know, I think it puts a bigger value on how much time a player is, that I would suggest that you spend with the rule book, being familiar. I know we have to certify, you know, in a cycle, in a multi-annual cycle, but we also have to maybe open it up in between those 3-year testing periods. And I think that's something that the PGA model does well with, is to keep everybody versed. And it's part of your training and part of your management, which is to go in and remain familiar, because you're not just there to police yourself. You're there to uphold the integrity of the sport. And that's why the rules were developed, which is to help keep things in the corral and not just let it get waylaid, you know, where it can definitely maybe place an advantage on one player or another specifically. But rules seem to help things get evened out also. So maybe more to allow less advantage for one, maybe provide more advantage for all, or a singular advantage to all. You know, it sounds deep, but there is a science to the rules. And, you know, they're not that difficult to understand. You know, harder to follow than they are to understand, honestly. So, you know, that's your personal integrity as a professional, is to maintain a high understanding of the rules and a high level of respect for the players that follow those rules. And that can go far and wide. You know, a lot of players like Kenny, and, you know, a handful of others that I know are just really respectful to the rules because of their background. You know, Kenny's an amazing ball golf player. And that's where I'm sure a lot of his passion and drive and knowledge has come from, by growing up with the game. A lot of players have grown up with disc golf as their activity. Excuse me, these last, say, 20 years, when disc golf has been a lot more prevalent than before. Used to be saying disc golf, you almost had to say, you know, Frisbee golf.
Yep.
Or they would catch, but, you know, thank goodness disc golf is caught, and, you know, and it has a good following. Isn't that crazy? Now you can say disc golf now at the grocery store or the pharmacy or the car wash, and they know exactly what you're talking about. And that just makes my heart beat, you know, loud. Because in the old days, we'd explain the whole thing every time, and you could do it 5 times a day, you know.
Frisbee dog was the most popular thing in the world.
Yeah, that's, you know,
everyone's like, where are your dogs? We're like, no, we play ultimate Frisbee. Like we play Frisbee, we play football, but with a Frisbee. They're like, yeah, I have no idea what that is. You're like, all right, well, okay, well,
yeah. I was asked if are you a professional juggler?
Ooh,
like no, I'm not.
No, my friend Greg Osfeld, he wrote a song about it. Want to hear it? Yeah. Well, we've got room to grow, but it is a good time to, you know, be thankful for what we have here. I am so thankful that, you know, more and more players are able to take on disc golf as their focus and actually, you know, commit to it. You know, practice, training, conditioning, health, mental awareness and, positive thinking. And yeah, you can take that to the bank now. So I'm happy that the horizon is far and wide.
Were you ever worried, like, after you toured for however long you did, and then you see a young kid, and he's like, yeah, I want to make this my life. Were you ever like, I wouldn't do it? Like, it's a tough life, you know what I mean? Because like you said, you're all piling in the car. Even my early days of traveling, it was not glamorous. And before that, one of my mentors was Dan Ginley, and he would always tell me about the good old days and how hard it was and everything. Or were you always like, no, have a blast, go do it?
Yeah, Paul, I mean, I'm still in love with Frisbee and disc golf and flying disc and all that stuff. It changed my life, man. I've had 10 lifetimes of happiness just because of Frisbee. So it seems to keep on, patting me on the back and hugging me. And it's something that really, it's unlike other sports. Conventional sports are really tough. They're difficult. And I feel for kids, young age kids, they're going into conventional sports. So much rigidity and sharp corners and demands and costs. It's so expensive for a parent or parents, to bring kids up through conventional sports, where this is something that disc golf has a really nice attractiveness to it. And I would say that if I could guarantee someone could have the fun and the fellowship, that I had, that a lot of people have had getting into it, and can find a good spot to hover in there, then that's great. But if it's not your game, it's okay to put it down. But I would love for everybody to give it a shot.
Yeah.
But you're right. It's not for everybody. If that's a great thing about Disc Golf Network, for instance, is that if you're not a player, you can still enjoy the aesthetics and the visuals and the energy and excitement of disc golf.
Yeah.
We're getting closer and closer to this, product where it will catch soon. Everything that was created with love will continue to do that if it's given that. That's what it needs to survive, is more love. So we got to keep the faith and, count our blessings and be thankful. We have what we have, and keep working hard, keep protecting our sport. We want to promote it as if it's our very own, because we're still a small group comparatively.
Yeah.
Small group are doing a whole lot for a lot of people. So kudos, who you are out there too. And you guys are helping that same energy. You're providing time for people to observe and take in these conversations. It all helps develop your own personal perspective.
Yeah, we're trying. The main thing about this show was to kind of, obviously when me and Uli are touring and playing the events, is to give a little bit more color of what the event is, what to expect, leading in to hopefully have a more enjoyable experience watching. But then also to give a little bit more behind the scenes of what is actually going on in tournaments after the fact. And then also give a platform for players to express themselves, because right now the only real media, there's obviously other podcasts too, but the only real media that you get during the week is if you're one of the handful of people selected for the interviews that they do, like the little Q&A that they do. But they pretty much ask the same question every week. They're getting a little bit better now where clips and stuff are coming out of it, but this is more long form where people can actually have time to, let people know who their personality is. And it could be good and it could be bad, right? If you come on this podcast and you kind of suck and you say stuff that doesn't really resonate with people, that actually might not really help you. But if you come on and show a little bit more than maybe you normally do, like Calvin's a perfect example. Calvin's one of our listeners' favorite viewers, but you don't really get to see that much of his personality when he plays, but when he comes on here, he kind of lets down, jokes around a little bit with us. And, he does that in other YouTube videos and social media as well. But I think it's just one of those things that comes with the territory. The more media that starts building around disc golf, the better. But again, at the end of the day, there's only so many people that are willing to do like passion projects, right? And so for something to really get bigger and grow, money has to be flowing in. And what you were saying is exactly right. right now with disc golf, for almost the entire however many I've been in it, the money is just constantly circling around. So it's going from disc golf companies to disc golf fans, back to disc golf companies to disc golf fans. And we have no outside coming in. And you really need the outside money, the outside fans, the outside you need that coming in for it to actually grow, versus we're just kind of passing money around to one another in this small little bubble.
It is. That's like well put. You know, the money that we're talking about, let's kind of set up a scenario where Disc Golf Network could develop a team, for instance, just for content, off-course content. You know, this is a regular practice on a lot of different projects, but I mean, these guys have got so much going on. Like I said, it takes a village, but I would love for them to find the time and the wherewithal to enjoy bringing on some producers that can bring this content forward. And I know I'm not the boss, you know, I'm just bossy, but I care. I want the best possible of everything for disc golf. You know, I have put quite a bit of work into at least trying to explain this, you know, on the air, like back in Disc Golf Planet TV days, you know, because I'm fairly frank with people, and I want people to know that, you know, this is just me. This is just my humble opinion and my take on things. Being in that position is a real honor, and it comes with quite a bit of expectation. So I can only hope that what we did before went in good directions and left people with a good idea, left them with a good impression. And then, you know, Disc Golf Network 2 is going to keep growing. They're going to keep acquiring more assets, in both human and technical assets. And they're going to make sense out of it. And it's only going to get better. That's my take on that. I mean, they've got too many good things going for them. And I want them to endure a huge success, because that means disc golf is going to win also. And the Pro Tour, like you said, Brodie, that's another thing. It's a massive machine. There's so many moving parts. And you got to remember, it takes a human to move these parts. There's nothing that the computer does other than what the human tells it to do. Okay? So don't forget. And it's a remarkable effort. And I'm so happy that disc golf has a group and groups that care about it enough to invest and commit to it like that. It's getting me excited now. I kind of want to go get me a fake earbud.
Well, that's what I mean. We're in the off season here, right? We've got November, December, January, and then most of February, and then we're back at it.
Yeah.
I mean, Uli, we've got a few connections. I would love to see you at least like go out on a couple events and just see, you know, I mean, what's the harm in that?
Well, I got my suitcase here. I'm going to show you. I'm bringing my portable that I can check in here. No, it sounds great to me, but again, I'm not the boss. You know, I'm just bossy. I care for y'all.
Yeah.
So
no, I would love to just see an event switched where they have someone on the ground doing the majority of the commentary, the color and what's actually happening. And the people in the booth is setting the stage, letting you know what par of the hole is, letting you know how you know, where he is on the leaderboard, all that stuff. I would love to see it. I would love to see it just once to give, you know, the viewers a chance to look at and be like, huh, this might actually be a better product than what we previously were doing. That's just one thing I don't think we do enough right now, is we don't do it enough experimenting.
Or maybe it just bombs, but at least you know.
You got to experiment to know. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You got to try stuff out.
Exactly right.
So Pro Tour.
Yeah.
I know there's someone's listening. Put this man on the course. Give him 3 holes. Give him a 3-hole tryout. Let's see what happens.
I
was thinking, that reminds me, I was thinking up this thing where, let's see. Oh, I was watching the ladies in Europe last fall, and they There's a nice, healthy gallery. There's a couple spotters. We were following the players, and I was imagining the cameras. And I was thinking about if they had somebody on the ground, you could have, hey, we have a celebrity spotter. And it's not somebody that looks for famous people in the audience. It's a famous person spotting. Anyway. So,
well, maybe,
really well
yeah, you know what? Maybe you're not meant for the job. No, I'm just kidding.
Uli's taking back his vote of approval.
I'm just going to rake the bunker on 7. I'll be back.
Yeah.
No, my playbook has always been, I'm going to throw 10 things out there, and if one of them hits,
yeah,
well, hey, let's just run with that. But if you're scared to fail, that's the real that's the real disaster to growth. Like that's the real enemy to growth is being scared to fail and playing it safe. And I think right now we've hit a plateau. Like disc golf has definitely hit a plateau. And it's like to get that next thing, we got to start trying to take some risk here and see what happens. What's the worst thing that could happen, you know?
That's right. And all that goes towards, a wonderful finished product.
Yeah.
So blow the dust off anything that comes that way, and that's a good way to look at it. Yeah, there's a lot of people that are watching right now. Hopefully, will maybe send a comment your way where they might have a suggestion. You could be speaking a sounding board. For suggestions like that. I know Disc Golf Pro Tour and Disc Golf Network. I know that they have communication channels open.
Sure.
But not everybody's excited to kind of share their idea that way. So, I like your description of that.
No, we definitely get a lot of feedback. That is for sure. But yeah, hopefully,
normally Paul needs to not talk as much, or that was a horrible take.
Brodie's too loud. Have Brodie stop yelling.
Yeah. Wait, Paul, say 4 more words. That'll be 100. I gotta work it.
But hey, we appreciate you taking the time out of your day, coming on here and talking. Okay. I hope something comes of this. I hope someone out there is watching or listening, and maybe we get to see you on coverage next year, because I think from what I saw and after talking to you, the stories and experience that you have, I think you have a lot to offer still to the pro game. And I think you would bring a lot to the table, and I would love to see it. I would love to see what happens and how it goes, and hopefully someone is listening, and we see you next year.
Well, thanks a lot, Brodie. I appreciate that. It goes a long way.
Of course.
Appreciate that. Appreciate you guys having me on. I think we should do this again. I got some stories I'd love to share with you guys. I think your viewers would get a kick out of.
Yes. Next time we have you back on, we want to hear those stories. That's for sure.
So the success, that I wish for you guys is on the air, and maybe we can all have something together on the course together. I'd love to do that. Love that.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
I'm a fan of both of you. Don't forget.
Hey, thank you so much, man. Appreciate it. You have a wonderful night.
I will. All right. Bless your heart. We'll see you. Aloha.
Right. Take it easy.
Jeez.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, get him out of here, Silas.
He's
the
done.
Chiefs. That was a low blow there. That was a low blow. Talking about Japan, I do have one story here, Uli. Me and Kelsey were supposed to go out there for a golf tournament to do some social media around. And the week prior to flying out, our contact reached out to us and said, there's a really bad storm that came in, and the greenskeeper wasn't able to get the course ready for the tournament. And so the greenskeeper ended up taking their life, and out of respect, they canceled the entire event. And I was like, so when he was talking about how Japan does things differently, that hit home, because it's like in the States, if that would happen in the States, they would have just grabbed some other schmo off the street, thrown him in there, and continue on. But over there was like, no, we're not doing that. So that made a lot of sense. But man, I would love to see it, man. I would love to see what it would be like having someone on the ground doing most of the commentary, and hopefully we get that just out of one event, or one day, or 1-9, like a whole, like 9, like you were saying, just have him out there for 3-6 holes and run it that way and just see what happens. So all right, where do we go from here? Let's you ready to talk about Paul McBeth versus Gannon Buhr? I know you've been looking at your chops.
Sure, let's get into it.
So this was the graphic that was thrown up, and Ricky responded to this graphic. This was posted by the Disc Golf Pro Tour. It's 2015 Paul McBeth versus 2024 Gannon Buhr, best season ever. And it's, Elite Series and PDGA majors, right? So you've got Paul winning 5 majors, Gannon winning 2. Remember too, we only have 4 majors, so he went 2 of 4, where Paul ended up winning all 5 majors that year. Elite wins, Paul had 3, Gannon had 7. Average finish, Paul at 1.4, Gannon at 4.2. Worst finish, Paul at 3rd, Gannon at 13. Total cash, Paul at 53. The total cash, I don't really care. I'm not even going to say that. That doesn't mean anything to me. Yeah, I'm not talking about total cash. That I don't think that's an argument. Ricky responded to this saying, I was there for both McBeth in 2015, and it's not even close. So go ahead, Uli, you've got the floor. How do you feel?
I honestly don't think it's even close either. I've been there for both. And I mean, these statistics, they're a little jaded to me. Like, if you look at Paul's statistics over there on the left, he won 5. Like, the big thing that sticks out to me, of course, is the 5 majors. 5. There's never been 5, and he won them all. Just happened to win them all when they were that year. That's crazy. Gannon with the 2. Okay. Then you go down 6 for Gannon as far as Elite Series, 3 for Paul. I believe, right? 3 for Paul. Here's the big thing that sticks out to me. Gannon, I think, played 19 Elite Series this year with the 6 win. Paul played 7 that year and got the 3. He played 7 total.
So about the same percentage.
You look at like you said, the cash really doesn't mean a whole lot to me, because if you just throw it all up there, I think Paul probably blasts Gannon's cash record if it was today and he does the same thing.
Cash means no.
Yeah, it doesn't really mean anything.
You can't say that.
The biggest argument that I hear people say, well, back then it was easier.
Strength of field.
Yeah. For who? Like, strength of field is the World Championships is the World Championships. The majors are the majors. Like, it's hard to win those. That's why there's only, 20 people ever to win the World Championships. It's the hardest tournament to win, no matter when you were playing it. You just heard of Crazy John Brooks. Was him and Ken Climo were going back and forth, and I bet everybody thought, oh no, Kenny just ran away from it forever. No, it was competitive back then. There were people trying to win the tournament. When I look at both sides, of course people are better now. How about this argument? How about this? This is actually a funny thing to think about. How about we take the field now and you go throw them on a par 54 course back in the day against those guys? Do you think they're just going to mop them up? No. Ken Climo was shooting 17 under at the World Championship. They were playing as good as you could possibly play. You take those guys and you take those guys and you put them in now, it's a whole new world. Of course it's going to be tougher.
You can't take those guys back then and throw them here. I think the argument they have, and
more good players.
I think
that's a silly argument to me, because you're only as good as your competition is there.
Sure, but I think context does matter, and I'll talk about something that I know a little bit more about, which is like ultimate frisbee. Our sectionals. So we had sectionals, regionals, nationals. That's how you qualified to go through. Our sectionals, when I first started playing, our sectionals included Georgia and North Carolina. So we had to play in our section to get to regionals. We had to play University of Georgia. We had to play Georgia Tech. We had to play UNC. We had to play NC State. We had to play all these teams just to get to regionals. Come my 4th or 5th year, they did a whole realignment, and now our sectionals was just Florida. So all we had to play was Miami, UCF, USF, F. So to look and say this team won sectionals and this team won sectionals, like, context does matter. And I think that's the big argument with the Gannon Buhr, is the context does matter. Paul could go to a tournament and play poorly. Not saying that he did, but I'm saying Paul could go in a tournament and play poorly and still probably win. Because, like, your argument of, like, if you take today's field and you throw it back on their courses, what would happen? Do I think Ken Climo could still compete? Yes. But the problem is there's probably like 16 or 17 guys that are shredding that course, where back then it was Ken Climo and maybe a guy or maybe another guy.
And that's where, and that here's my point, okay?
You see what I'm saying?
I have to rebuttal with you on those things, okay? Let's go to 2015. You go down the line, okay? Let's just do the first 20 guys.
Mm-hmm.
Guarantee by the end of it, 15 to 17, maybe even all of them, I haven't looked at the list, are Hall of Famers, and eventual Hall of Famers.
Sure.
Like eventual Hall of Fame players.
Sure.
My point is, when they were like, the competition's better, that doesn't mean anything. If I've never played something before and you've never played something before and we play each other, who's going to win?
Competition does matter, though.
It
does.
I know it does, and you're playing the best people in the world. Period. At that point.
But the thing is, though, Uli, is like money has a huge role, because again, the argument is when everyone was talking about, when I first came into the sport, everyone was saying Ken Climo is the GOAT. No, Paul McBeth is the GOAT, right? And the argument that they were using against Ken Climo is the same argument that we're using against Paul McBeth now. The argument that people are using against Ken Climo to say that Paul McBeth is the GOAT is Ken Climo was playing not against anyone good back then. And that is the same argument that is being used now for Gannon. People are saying Paul McBeth wasn't playing anyone good back then.
And guess what? The GOAT is different from the best player of all time. The greatest of all time argument is different.
Well, we're talking about just the best season. And to me, I think you have to look at the context.
Right. And so let me, here's another point. You have what I think Ken Climo is the greatest player of all time. He won 9 straight. That's your best player. Okay. Paul McBeth's the GOAT to me.
Best career.
Right. Paul McBeth is the GOAT to me because of what he's done for our game.
He's done a lot. Yeah.
He's my GOAT.
Okay, I got you on that.
Okay, so now let's take Paul McBeth. You're going to tell me and anybody who has the argument, it's between Ken Climo and Paul. There's nobody else, right?
Yeah, no, not right now.
Without a doubt. So let's just take Paul. You're going to tell me that Paul's best season, who is the GOAT of all time, doesn't match up to Gannon, who's played 3 years? No. Let me keep going. Because here's my point.
I don't think it matters how many years you've played, though, when you're just looking at the best season.
No. Here, let me put it into context. Paul McBeth has another season like he did. Let's say he played as many Elite Series as Gannon does. In 2 years, he'll have 10 majors. In 2 years, Gannon would have how many? 4. It's a no-brainer with the exact amount of wins.
I know, but you gotta. So let me try to explain my point one more time.
I know your point. The competition. There's more good players now because there's money involved. Everybody dedicates their life, and they go. Dedicating your life to something. We just heard Crazy John Brooks said he got in his car with 3 dudes with nothing to go be good at disc golf instead of being a freestyler, right? Where he was getting paid, he wanted to dedicate his life to disc golf. The dedication doesn't stop when you're talking about this.
No, I'm not. That's not my thing. I think my perfect example is this. And because like Mad Dog said, Brodie, there was no money in the game in 2015. None of these kids would even tour, including Gannon. That's kind of my point. Is someone that is good enough to win a tour event, James Proctor, was not playing events because it didn't make sense to him financially. So you had someone good enough to win an event, not playing events because of the money. So now that money is slowly coming in, you have more people like James Proctor coming out. And so that's just my point at the end of the day is I think week in, week out, Gannon is having to beat higher competitive players than Paul was. And you can't make an argument like that because it's like any sport. It was very clear to me in Ultimate Frisbee, if Ultimate Frisbee all of a sudden became D1 and there was super huge money potentially made in Ultimate Frisbee, I knew my role was not going to be the number one player on my team. I was going to be lucky enough to make a team. And that's just common sense that if money is imported, you're going to get better athletes into the sport.
How many people who weren't outside the top 20 in the world won this year? If your point is that, then number 50 should be winning tournaments, and they don't. So I'm saying it's even harder now because you do have the top end talent is so high and so good that it's so hard. Because Paul and Ricky won everything. You're still beating. What I'm saying is, at one point you have to go. In golf, like it's completely different in golf because guy ranked 130th might win the tournament. You get what I'm saying? Like 130th, like top 100.
And golf has a ton of money and a lot more players.
Sure.
Disc golf will eventually get there if there's a ton of money in it. That's exactly my point.
But you have to put a stat line on it then. Like how many more better players are there? How many people are so good? Like, what is the lowest guy?
Well, I go and I look at that 2015, that video that we just watched.
Yeah.
That you're in, and one of the best players in the world is Nate Doss right there, 3-putting from 20 feet. That doesn't happen on the Pro Tour.
Hey, Gannon misses 4-footers 3 times a month. It spits straight back out at him. Are you lost?
Stop. Show me of one video of Gannon missing a putt as close as Nate Doss was in that video. Nate Doss missed a 10-footer. Show me one video of Gannon missing a 10-footer.
Okay. Somebody will have him tapping in and missing.
My point is this, Uli. My point is this: is when I look at 2015 and I look at those guys, I think Ricky is playing probably better right now than he was back in 2015.
This is crazy. Have you watched that final 9?
You think Ricky is worse now than he was in 2015?
Paul McBeth birdied 26 out of 29 holes.
I'm not talking about Paul. I'm talking about Ricky. Do you think Ricky is better now than he was in 2015? His overall game.
Of course. That's what happens.
Yeah, and he doesn't win nearly as much as he was winning back in 2015.
He wins the same more probably. What do you? Are you serious? What's the most Ricky's Elite Series Ricky's? Ricky's won 2 world titles.
Uli, when I first got into Foundation, I'm just gonna say this little anecdote, and I'll leave it here.
Ricky won 4 times last year.
Yeah, but there's some tournament. My point is, there's some tournaments that Ricky's not even close to winning. He literally went a full year going back and forth with Paul.
No, he didn't.
That just can't happen anymore.
Ricky didn't just take second place to everybody the year. Paul got beat by Michael Johansson, but he got beat by Jeremy Colling. He lost 4 times in the national tour in 7 events.
Is it not antidote? What's the word, Silas? Give me the word, Silas. It's not antidote. What's the word I'm looking for? Line.
What are you trying to say?
What's the word? It's it's something from a personal antidote. Anecdote.
Yeah.
Anecdote. Okay.
All right. Anecdote, tomato. Also, we need to get Edwin in on here because I want to hear what Edwin has to say.
We're ready with him whenever you want.
I'll leave it. I'll say this and I'll leave it at that. And you take it for what you want, Uli, because I think this is actually very fascinating because things change very, very quickly. So there was a moment in time when I joined Foundation Disc Golf that Paul McBeth had a bet. I believe it was with Trevor, that he would not finish outside the top 3 all year. Now, this is not to say that like having that mentality is bad. You have to have that mentality that you are the best and you're better than everyone else. You
Easy
have
to do when you've done it before.
You have to have that mentality to be the greatest, right? It was I don't think he made it week 1. And I don't even know how many times he even finished in the top 3 of that year. Like the sport just evolved very quickly over the last couple years, and it is what it is. It's a different landscape now than it was, and it's much harder to see in other sports that have a much long lasting and also have the money, because right now, if you're a gifted athlete, you are trying to play baseball, you are trying to play football, you are trying to play basketball. We don't really have that in disc golf yet because the money's not there yet. But eventually, if it does get there, you're going to get a lot more people trying to be really freaking good at disc golf. And that's where you're going to have, a bunch of Calvins and Gannons and ABs and all those people showing up.
I get that, but there's no winning a tournament. You have the best player, the second best player, the third best player. You have these guys lined up all the way to 100.
Sure.
You had it back then. You have it now. There's no difference to me.
So would you be super impressed if this offseason I just went around to all these C and B tiers in Texas and won all of them? Would you be thinking that I was going to go on tour next year and just tear it up? Or would you look at the competition?
That's not a good point at all.
Or would you look at the competition of the people that I'm beating and be like, well, the competition is different?
That's what I'm saying. No. The top 50 is the top 50 then. You didn't have these guys. So it's the same. Being number 1 with whatever pool you have is just as hard as being number 1 in whatever pool you have here. There's no telling, okay, so you put this one back there and then Paul learns how to go and be the GOAT in this era if he was born and he was 15 today. Like,
no, but
it's
my point is like I'm playing in the top 50 of Texas. That's not nearly as impressive of the top 50 of the world.
Brody,
right?
We're saying the same thing. My point is, though, no matter what, it's going to be the same amount of difficulty for anybody to win if the competition is what it is from year to year. It's always going to change. It's always going to get harder. But winning now is the same as winning if I like.
No, I disagree with that.
How?
Because when I played Ultimate Frisbee, I'm telling you right now.
No. I'm talking about in it's the same as like Michael Jordan winning when he won.
But see, that's not a great comparison though, because basketball,
we'll go golf.
Again, not a great comparison. You have to go way back. You have to go way back to where these guys were playing in an era that like golf was very new, to where there weren't that many people traveling around. There weren't that many people taking it seriously.
There's a ceiling.
This golf's not that old.
I know. This year, my point is this. I get what you're saying. If you take this talent pool into what we have now, they're going to get smacked. I know that. With the talent pool that they had, you bring it here, they're going to get smacked. But that doesn't matter because that's not the case. It is as hard as it is now. It's the same. You have to overcome and win tournaments in order to be considered to have the greatest year of all time. It's the same difficulty. It's the hardest it has ever been at that point. That's the best.
Okay, so here's a perfect example. Would it be harder to win a gold medal right now in the 100 meters or back when Usain Bolt was running?
You can't travel in time. This is the age-old thing of sports. You can't be like, well, just because he didn't have the competition now.
I'm saying that's a very empirical thing. There's literally a time that shows you exactly how fast people are running.
Take the competition now and then throw them on a par 54. Dude, I'm going to win tournaments. If I played against the players right now and we go and play a par 54 all year long, I'm going to
what you're saying is right. What you're saying is correct. If we take and go to a par 54,
We played a lot of times, not in 2005.
What that's going to do, honestly, is Gannon's still going to shred. Ricky's still going to shred. But you know who else is going to shred? Matt Bell. You know who else is going to shred? Barsby. Like, you are now putting in even more people that are going to shred. It's going to be even harder to win.
And my point is, you don't think that Paul McBeth comes out of there and wins Worlds?
With the field that we have now?
Yeah.
He might, but I wouldn't put money on it.
Money on Gannon?
I don't think I'd put money on anyone because Gannon hasn't won a Worlds. Isaac's won 2.
Oh, I might put Isaac on there in a par 54, honestly.
You know, like all I'm saying is if I show up and I see the field and I'm like, that guy's really freaking good, that guy's pretty good, that guy's pretty good, that guy's pretty good, that guy's pretty good, I feel really, I mean, here's a perfect example. College football this year. Who the heck do you think is going to win college football this year? There is not an outright good team.
No.
But
decent
Tennessee. But what about a couple years ago? Alabama.
Bama.
Better than everyone. So, like, do you think that Bama team, if that Bama team played in the future, what do you think they would dominate? They would dominate everyone. And so it's okay to have better players in different eras. I get what you're saying. He was the best in that era, and that does take a lot. I'm not discrediting that. I'm just saying at the end of the day, you have to look that if Gannon is showing up and saying there are 25 people that have a legitimate chance to beat me this weekend, that is harder to win that tournament than Paul showing up and saying I'm only really worried about 3.
That's crazy.
If that is what the comparison is, those two scenarios are completely different. They're completely different scenarios. Let's get Edwin on here. I'm curious because I don't actually know which way Edwin's going with this one.
I'm actually very curious.
All right. Edwin Stats, ladies and gentlemen, joined Tour Life for the first time. All right. We can hear you. What do you got for us? Let's hear it. Break it down for us.
I will, and it's good because I think what I'm sharing, because I kind of agree with, I am definitely blurry. I definitely agree with points from both of you guys, and I think this analysis will help kind of bridge the gap between the two. One thing I will say, we've talked about this before around the 4-minute mile. I know Uli's used this example before. Nobody ran a 4-minute mile forever. Somebody did, and then within 12 months, 15, 20 more people do it.
Yep.
What we like to do is say things like, people today are better than in the past. Gannon's better. The field is better. I agree. I think common sense says that that's what's happening. The issue is that if Paul McBeth, circa 2012, when he was coming up, 2009, whatever it was in today's world, it would be like the post 4-minute mile. Like the way he trains, the amount of money that's in the game, the way that he gets from tournament to tournament. We always try to hold in isolation the old player, like the Bill Russell or the Ted Williams or the Paul McBeth or Ken Climo in this case, and say everybody today is better, but bring them to today's world and let them grow up over the last 10 years with the better technology and equipment and people putting more effort into the sport and training more. And McBeth is probably better than he was back then. So, like, I think that gets left out a lot, but I'm not here to talk about that. The idea,
that's a good point.
The idea of strength of field is something that will never, ever, it will end conversation as it will end debate. If you just say competition is stronger now, so if I look 10, 20 years ago, I cannot give any credence or weight to those seasons or those stats because they don't matter. I think what you have to do, but it does matter that talent is getting stronger, players are getting bigger, faster, more intelligent, technology gets better. I mean, listen, man, when I'm old, I first played disc golf in 1999. There was no YouTube to go watch. I didn't know what a power pocket was. There was nothing to look at back then. And those are what a lot of the players like Steve Brinster had to go through when they started. Nowadays, a 12-year-old can go online and join Power Disc Golf Academy and start, dominate, learning the right techniques or whatever. So I think there's a lot going on there. But what I do think you can do is normalize the stats so that you can compare 2 seasons if the gap isn't that big. So if we look at Paul's 2015 in a lens like 2024, so we change the money, we look at the wins because he played, as Ulibarri, Paul already said, he played in 13 less Elite Series events. If we adjust all that and the seasons are similar, I would always give the edge to Gannon in that case because stronger competition, all that stuff, right? And he did it over a longer season, because what we're going to do is we're going to take Paul's shorter season and extrapolate it out to a full 2024 season. But if the gap is huge, and I'm going to hint, it is pretty big, and we're going to look at the stats. If the gap is huge, then the debate becomes, is that gap completely explained away by just the talent wasn't as good back then? And I think that's the conversation to have. The stats that you brought up at the beginning of this are just unfair to show, and he was doing a good job with it. I think what my stats will do, it's not meant to declare a winner. It's meant to normalize and show apples to apples, so that we can have a good look at the two seasons side by side, and then we can have a conversation. If the competition was as strong now as it was back then, what would Paul have done? But so anyway, Silas, if you want to jump right into it, I think he has the slides. I can share them.
Oh, that's blurry.
Oh, wow. I don't even know. We're going to have to send these out afterwards. Oh, I see it clear now on the screen. I think it's good. So the first slide is just laying out, and I know we're running out. It's already past 10 o'clock, but
we're not running out of time. Come on, Edwin. You've been around here long enough.
Didn't we just win the longest podcast in eternity? But this just shows the two seasons without adjusting anything. So on the left side, you have Paul McBeth. As Uli said, 5 majors. If you look on the right side, Gannon only had 4. Paul won all 5. Gannon won 50% of his with an average finish of 4.8. Super, this is what we're talking about. Would Paul have won all 4 events if he played this year? Probably not, but we can still normalize the stats and then look at them at the end. And then when you look at the National Tour event, and for those who don't know, that's what the DGPT used to be called, the NT, the National Tour. He played in 7, so he only played in 12 total events. And on the right side, you have this long laundry list of 20 DGPT events that Gannon played in. So these are just laying out their 2 seasons. The 2 things I pulled out at the bottom, which I think is valuable, is that the NT, or the Elite Series plus major win rate for Paul was 66%. He won 2 out of every 3 tournaments he entered that year. Gannon's about 1 out of every 3. Okay, so that's just in a vacuum. We can talk about strength of field, but that's a pretty big difference. The second is, in the 8 wins that Paul McBeth had, his average winnings was just over 5,000. In Gannon's 9 wins, that's a typo. I wrote 8. I don't think anybody can see it because it's blurry, but it should be 9. His average win was 17,000, over 3 times more, which is why when anybody starts showing dollars earned or prize money, it's kind of a joke. As a matter of fact, I didn't pull this number, but I saw somebody say that, Paul played in these, 12 events. If he won all 12 of them, he would have made $60,000 that year. Yeah, which is less than a third of what Gannon made.
The money is a bad one because, again, disc golf's so young. It's the change is
correct.
Massive.
So what I did, and Silas, you can go to the next slide, and it's going to be a little wonky to see, especially blurry. But the next slide will show how I tried to normalize Paul McBeth's 2015 campaign into 2024. So basically, you still have on the left side, you have Paul McBeth's 15. On the right side, you have Gannon's 2024. I color coded them, but basically green, there are 6 events that exist today that also existed in 2015. 3 of the majors, European Open, Worlds, USDGC. And then there was 3 regular NT events, Beaver State Fling, Ledgestone, and Maple Hill. For those events, because they're 1-to-1, all I did was take Paul McBeth's finishing place from 2015 and award him the money as if he played it this year. So if he won, he gets the winner's purse. If he finished 3rd, he gets whoever got 3rd, their purse. So that's a very easy one. Nobody should have any problem with that. In yellow, there's 4 events, or 5 events, 1 major and 4 regular Elite Series events, where I just paired them together just to make it easier. So basically up top, you have the Aussie Open and the Champions Cup. I put them side by side and said, let's assume they're a very similar event. Down bottom, there's 4 events. I put the Memorial with chess, Glassblown Open with Waco, whatever. Same approach. If Paul McBeth, look at the Aussie Open, he was first. He won $4,600. That's the top line we're looking at in yellow. If he would have been in the Champions Cup and won it, what would he have gotten this year? And that's how I made the adjustments, which will be on the next slide. So those 2, I think, make sense. Where it becomes tough is everything on this screen, which I guess is coming across as like peach. There's 1 major, actually, that Gannon didn't play in. We know Gannon played 4 and McBeth played 5. So if we're going to try to show apples to apples, we actually got to reward Gannon with 1 more major. But there's 13 NT events that, because Paul played 7, Gannon played 20. There's 13 events we have to adjust for. So we're going to assume that Paul McBeth did play the same amount of events as Gannon Buhr and performed at the same level as he did in what he did in 2015. So if that makes sense, he's going to get new winnings or new prize purses based on 2024, and all of his win percentages and everything will stay the same. So Silas, jump to the next slide. You can actually go 2 because the next one was a bunch of words to help Brodie, because Brodie was supposed to go through this.
You're
this
better at it though. People are so much happier you're doing it, not me.
Yeah, you're doing good.
I'm just trying to stay far back because, as the guy that was just on said, this is a face for radio. I want to be far back. So what this is doing is I'm making all the adjustments. So I don't need to go through all of them, but just so that people can have confidence in what I did and we can have a discussion around it. You can see that top line for the Aussie Open, as I mentioned, when he actually won the Aussie Open as a major back in 2015, Paul made like $4,600. If he won Champions Cup this year, which Andrew Presnell did, Presnell got 15K, so he gets the 15K. European Open, Paul won, and so did Gannon Buhr. So they get the same amount of money, right? You can see it's 12-5 across the board. So on and so forth all the way down. When you get to the red or the peach color here, these are where I had to make the biggest assumption, which is that Paul didn't play in these events, but if he did, he would have had the same average finish that he did in the 7 NT events he did play in.
Okay.
His average finish was 1.7. 1.7 is basically saying you win 30% of the time, you finish second 70% of the time. That averages to 1.7. That's basically what he did. He won 3 out of 7 events. So all I'm doing for all of the peach is saying, assume that that's Jonesboro. Assume that that's MCO, DDO, it's Idlewild. I averaged all of those 13 tournaments, first and second place, average wins together, and just said, what does 1.7 get him? And it would get him around 9,700 per event by finishing first 30% of the time, finishing second 70% of the time. After doing all of that, I also award wins because his win rate, Paul had a certain win rate in 2015. In those 13 events, he would have had a very, or not a very similar, the exact same win rate is what I assumed. So he picked up more NT wins, National Tour wins, or we can call them elite wins if we're looking at 2024. He would have picked up more wins in those 13 events, right? And then Gannon's, which isn't highlighted in peach, although it should be on the top right. Gannon's one tournament one major that he didn't play in, which was the Scandinavian Open that Paul did. He averages 4.5 average finishing position. So I awarded him money based on averaging 4.8. I awarded him the average winnings of finishing 4.8, but I gave him a half of major win. He won 50% of majors in 2024, 2 out of 4. So if he played one more major, on average, he would win half of that major. So I know it's weird to show when I show these stats. He's going to have 2.5 major wins, saying some years he'd get 2, some years he'd get 3. But based on his performance, if there were the 5th major, he was a 50% chance of winning it. So then if you go to the last slide, it's what I think is the final view of the 2 seasons, Silas, which is, again, Paul McBeth. If you look at there it is. So Paul McBeth won 100% of his 5 majors. Assuming Gannon played 5 majors, he would have won 2.5 or 50%. That doesn't change. So Paul McBeth has double the majors of Gannon. In terms of NT wins, this is not including major wins. It's just looking at NT or elite wins. Gannon still has his 7 because that doesn't change. He played in 20, won 7. If Paul played in 20, based on his win rate, he would have won 11.5, which is 58%. So again, almost double what Gannon got. So double the majors, almost double the Elite Series wins. The third numbers don't change at all because we're using averages. So Gannon's average finish this past year, which was incredible, was 4.2. McBeth's was 1.4. Those don't change because we're extrapolating it out and assuming they both perform the same way. And then the final one is, I think, what people need to see, which is if you adjust Paul's winnings from 2015 to today, he almost breaks 300,000 and he has 50% more than Gannon did this year. So, and actually, if you just take the events that Paul McBeth actually played in, the 12 events he played in, and just say he plays 12, Gannon plays double, 24. In the 12 events that Paul McBeth played in, he would have gotten $165,000, which is not bad at all, in half the events that Gannon played in. Mm-hmm. So what is this saying? It's saying that the gap between McBeth's 2015 and Gannon's 2024 is significant after you normalize for apples to apples. If we are willing to say as a community that disc golf was so bad and so uncompetitive in 2015 that 50% more money and double the wins would have completely been erased. And, and here's the thing, Brodie. I'm a Gannon Buhr fan. That's a Gannon Buhr signed disc.
No, I know. I do want to bring I do want to bring a couple things because I'm curious what your thoughts on it, right? Because strength of schedule is something that is factored in, for example, like college football rankings. Like if you go out and you go undefeated, they look at who did you play, and if you didn't play anyone good, guess what? You're not getting into the playoff. So a couple things I want to point out. Right, these last couple years, what have we seen? Players that have the longest cash streaks end. Just people just not being able to cash. They used to cash all the time. Now they're not cashing. Guys saying like, hey, if I just mess up once or twice on the course now, I'm not dropping down a spot. I'm dropping down 10 spots. And let me just quickly, real quick, the Australian Open, because I haven't looked this up. The Australian Open, which was one of the majors that Paul won in 2015, had 25 people playing. Paul McBeth won. Second place was Simon Lizotte. Third place was Ricky Wysocki. Fourth place was Nate Doss. Fifth place, Felberg. Sixth place, Huho Rantelahio. Seventh place, Chris Adiego. Eighth place, Christopher Finn. Ninth place, Sean Capolaco. 10th place, coming in at 960 rated, Neil Roberts. So that, I think, at the end of the day, I think that is what a lot of people are saying. They're not really saying and putting down Paul's thing, because like if Paul goes and wins a tournament by 10 shots, it's kind of like, I don't know. I don't really care who was there. If Gannon was there or not, I think Paul beats him. I think the big thing here is like at this tournament, which was a major, there are 6 guys at this event. Or sorry, there are 5 guys at this event that I would be considered, how dare you slander Chris's name. There are 5 guys at this event that would probably be able to play in the field today. The rest of these guys aren't getting into a normal Disc Golf Pro Tour event.
If you just get rid of that tournament, he still destroys them.
No, but my point was just saying though, Paul. My point was just saying is like these are kind of the fields.
No,
obviously,
this
is obviously this is obviously an outlier. But I just want to throw it out there because a lot of people say you won 5 majors. Come on, this is not a major. But when you're looking at it, when we're having to pick, and Uli, you remember when it was the beginning of this podcast and we were having to pick who to win, we were just like alternating between a couple names. Mm-hmm. Now we'd
alter through the same names. Yeah.
There's more though. There's more.
But you'd still pick the same names.
You're not going to be. I'm picking different names now than I was, but I see what you're saying. You're still picking between, but I'm saying the number is more. I think back then the number might be like 2 to 3 guys. Now I think it's probably circulating around like the 5 to 7 range, right? Like if it's a certain time.
Gannon, Ricky, and AB won, I think, 80-something% of the tournaments this year. Yeah, those are the 3 guys that you're putting for sure. Yeah, but I think you could throw Simon in there, right? I think you can throw Isaac in there. Certain tournaments. Sure. I agree, but just so I can jump off because I don't want to be on here. But the way that I will close it out is this is why I think I'm in agreement with both of you. Like Wilt Chamberlain scored 100 points because he was playing against plumbers and who part-time NBA players, and he was taller than everybody, and he was able to just dominate. Wilt Chamberlain is not better than Shaquille O'Neal, but his stats are better. Correct. So that's why you have to normalize. I'm okay with that. But I think we're treating McBeth's 15 like it was 1979. You know, it wasn't that long ago. Can you truly say, when you look at these normalized stats, double the wins, double the majors, 1.4 average finish versus 4.2, and 50% more money? Can we explain all of that away by saying the Cole Redallans and that like second tier of awesome players that can pop off any week and win is so much making up that gap? It makes up some of it, I agree, but does it make up the full gap? And then I'll always go back to my 4-minute mile thing again. If you're gonna say all these people today with all these benefits and technology and how the sport is viewed and YouTube and all this stuff, if they get all those benefits, but you're gonna hold McBeth in a vacuum and say he's the McBeth of 2015, that's not fair. McBeth would have all those things.
I agree with that.
So I agree with that. You know what I mean? So like I would just say that this gap is what shows a season a little bit. I do think that it matters that the talent is stronger now, but I don't think it makes up this gap. is what I would say. And that's coming from a huge Gannon fan who truly believes in 15 years we're going to look back and Gannon's the GOAT. I believe that. Like, he's dominant, he's amazing. As long as he doesn't get injured and he stays focused, because he's more focused than anyone I've ever seen. I am a big Gannon fan, and it hurt me to see these stats the way they are, because it's just obvious that McBeth, from a statistical perspective, McBeth's season was dominant, not slightly better, not 20% better. It's dominant to what Gannon did this year.
And my only pushback to there is, like, when I first came on tour, because that's all I can really talk about is, like, when I'm on tour, the amount of people that were going from event to event in 2020 was a very small number compared to the amount of people that are going to event now. And so James Proctor is my perfect example in this. A guy that has good enough talent to win a tournament wasn't playing in tournaments. So how many
he just wasn't winning.
And he wasn't putting in a full season. He was only playing in the summer, but
he wasn't playing a full. He wasn't.
No.
My point is like Gannon Buhr did back in the day. Gannon Buhr would not have to beat James Proctor at every tournament. There was only a couple that he had to beat him at, right? Yeah. And so that's my only thing is, like, how many James Proctors were 100%. Back in 2015 that were like, hey, I'm good enough, but the money doesn't make sense for me to tour.
No, I agree, and so that's why I'm on your side with that. I think, and if you use
that's the biggest argument for Gannon. That's,
right, but does it close the full gap? Is the point? Is if their seasons were similar, if the amount of wins, if the amount of money, if everything was very similar, Gannon hands down has a better season.
I think the tournaments that Paul got third, I don't think he would get third. I think he would get like 11th or 12th. But
with $100 more in cash, I'll do an analysis where I drop him down to 10th in a lot of tournaments, drop him to 12th. He's still going to win. I mean, mathematically.
Well, I don't think money is the good indicator here.
Finishing position, because it's tied.
He could finish 15th and still win.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
5 tournaments I can take 5 tournaments and say Paul doesn't play in them, and he still has more money than Gannon this year. 100%. I can take 5.
But here's a good point too, and it's one of the arguments that I've been saying for the last few days online when I've been keyboard warring against a few people who come at me.
It's fun, man. This is what sports are all about.
Yeah, exactly. And it is this. I said, how can you have the greatest season of all time and you didn't win a world championship? This is a big time point, because the world championship is more important to everybody. It's more important to everybody. So that's the one you have to win, right? It's like having a regular season and winning all the time. Once you get to the playoffs, that's when winning matters. At the world championships, unfortunately, and I'm a big advocate for getting rid of the world championships, so this is a good point for me. At the world championship, it is the most important, and most people would trade 2 majors for the world title. It's harder to win because of that. And I had pushback from people because they don't understand the pressure that comes with it. I've been in the hunt at multiple world championships, and it was different than when I was in the hunt at the US championship, which I've been in the hunt at those. The pressure's different. You can see it in your competitors' eyes, how important it is. And that's why it's tougher to win. It is. That's why we don't say how many majors does Paul have. We say, how many worlds does he have? We don't say how many majors did Ken Climo have. We say, how many world championships does he have?
No, I agree with you on that.
How many world championships did Gannon get this year? A big goose egg.
But if you're doing player of the year and someone wins every event but
we're
worlds,
not doing. We're doing best season of all time. Let's not.
I agree to you. I agree with what you're saying. I'm just saying the part that I wouldn't agree is if someone won worlds and then someone else won every other event. I can't say that person that won worlds had a better season than the person.
I agree. I'm saying it's the hardest one to win. That's a big key component in what the world of disc golf thinks of the best year of all time.
This is also not a great analogy because obviously the playing conditions, all those things. I do think probably MVP is probably Maple Hill's setup more difficult now than it was in 2015. With that being said, Paul's score would have put him at 11th place in 2015 at Maple Hill this year.
But just one thing.
Now,
to
obviously,
point
that's
out,
not apples to apples. You can't really do that. But I'm just throwing it out there that they're, it's not like Paul is just running away with the field. I don't think that's what you're saying either, Uli. But I think it's close. I don't think it's. I don't think it's what
Paul's
Ricky's
still,
saying.
He hasn't won in a year, but it's not very long ago that Paul's winning on this tour.
Yeah, he won Worlds a couple years ago.
So we're talking about, like, again, we're comparing. How do you have another one of my points? How do you have the GOAT that we all agree is the GOAT, and then his best season ever, which is nuts, statistically nuts? How is that not the best season ever? And my last point is this. This topic came up for me because Ricky said he compared the two. Okay. Ricky's seen both. He's competing against both. He just went out and did incredible stuff at the Pro Tour Championship, and Gannon caught him. Right.
I didn't understand the people that were saying that Ricky was salty.
Yeah.
And was like, I don't understand that. The people are basically saying, like, oh, he's just putting Gannon down because he just lost to him and he's salty. I didn't understand that take.
I don't either, because they're friendly on the course. I see them having fun. Let me tell you this. Ricky's not going to give Paul McBeth flowers like that. In my career, they've had a little beef.
Yeah.
The whole career, they've had that competitive little beef. They didn't like each other. They were cordial, but you can ask both of them. Maybe one side says different than the other, but from my experience of seeing them together, there was some beef there.
Yeah.
And he's saying, no, Paul McBeth's season, that was unbelievable. And it's not even close. So now we have an eyewitness of both, who played with both on the same card, so he just lost to this guy, but this guy kind of dominated him his whole career. You know what I mean? Is he outweighing him in the more recency bias? I don't know. But
yeah, I responded.
I think it's a pretty level comment for him to say.
Yeah, I responded to that saying case closed, like on Twitter, as it was my response, being like, this guy probably has, as far as the eye test goes, because that really ultimately is kind of what we're talking about here, is eye test, who was playing better, and he played with both of them and probably had the best seat with both these guys for a long time. So like that's why I was kind of like, just case closed. I'm just saying you have to kind of give the other side. It's a closer race with the field, the strength of field. Yeah, it just makes it, and it makes it fun, man. We haven't really been able to do this in a while. We were doing this when Calvin had that incredible season last year. No one was comparing it to Paul's.
And I want people to understand too, from my perspective, the year that Gannon just had is the best year that I've seen ever, except for the year that Paul did that. Like what he is doing, I've never seen before in my long career. I've never seen it except for the year where I didn't beat Paul McBeth one time and I was ranked 4th in the world.
We're not bringing rate. People are saying how many 1040 guys did Paul have. We're not being ratings in here. We can't bring ratings.
I understand how good Gannon's season is, but I also understand the landscape of the sport and where it's been, because I lived there and I did it and I competed with these guys. Now I'm not competing with Gannon. That's not what I'm saying. They're in a different world from me with that talent. The season's incredible. The season's incredible that Gannon had. And I'm looking forward to see if he can beat it next year, because if he starts beating it by a lot, then all of a sudden we're going to have this argument again. But it's going to be tough to beat 5 majors, in my opinion, even if he beat 7 people.
Yes,
it's still a major.
That just shows you guys that even if something does support my argument, if I don't agree with it, I'm not bringing it in there. Ratings supports my argument. I'm not bringing it in there. Edwin, before you go, you pick a side. One final. Who are you saying best season of all time belongs to?
As weird as this sounds, I think if you pull them both and put them on a course today, Gannon beats Paul. His skill set today versus Paul's back then, but the best season ever was Paul's.
There you have it from the stats man himself, Edwin. We appreciate all you do.
You did great, man. Thank you for coming.
You crushed it. First debut and not your last, Edwin. So be on the ready at all times.
And you're looking handsome. Don't let those guys detour you. You look handsome on the camera, man.
I was so focused I didn't read the comments.
No, nobody said
not
anything.
Reading the comments is the best thing you can do. All right, appreciate you, brother. All right. Let's jump into this lawsuit that potentially could happen. There's currently no lawsuit. That's why there's a question mark of is there going to be another lawsuit in disc golf? Do you know anything about the story with MVP?
No clue. I don't know what you're about to say.
Silas, how knowledgeable are you with this?
No clue, brother.
Silas asleep? Did we put Silas to sleep?
No, I said no clue, brother.
We'll act like he's not logged. We hear you now, Lag King.
Oh, what's going on?
Do you know what I'm about to talk about with the MVP?
No, zero clue.
Okay. Well, here we go. There's a lot of people that have no idea what I'm about to talk about. So here we go. Everyone, let's go. This is a statement. This was a statement that MVP put out on their website. It's called Statement on the Balance. And for those that don't know, PDGA just approved one of Simon's new line called the Balanced prototype. We have a few important things to discuss. First, I'm literally reading word for word here. First off, why prototype? As a collaboration between Simon and MVP, the Simon line represents where am I at? Sorry, hold on. My thing's messing up. Represents a melding of Simon's lifetime of disc golf experience, MVP's technical experience. As such, Simon line discs have a long development time. We all want to make sure each disc is exactly what we're looking for. From hand feel to flight, it has to be perfect. When the first balances came off the machine, everyone was quite excited. The feel was exactly what we wanted, a slightly low profile mid-range accompanied by a bead, and the excitement in the room was palpable. However, after thorough testing, the stability and flight that we saw wasn't exactly what we were looking for. As you all know by now, creating a disc designed to hit an intended stability where fractions of a millimeter will result in a different disc is not an easy task. After years of learning and hard-earned experience, it's something we have pride in achieving more than any other. This time, unfortunately, we were a few hundred microns off. Instead of creating a disc between the reactor and the pyro, we had something more similar to the runway in the pyro. And it was a hard decision as the disc, while excellent, wasn't what we were looking for. To get the ideal flight, the decision was to go back to the drawing board and fully retool the balance. However, we still had a perfectly excellent overstable mid-range here. What do we do with that? We could release the initial prototype run in a very limited quantity to our dealers, similar to what we did with the time-lapse. However, we'd still need the disc to be PDGA approved with its own unique name because of the impending retooling. That is a decent amount of hassle for an extremely limited run, and it'd likely lead to some fan disapproval as well if we went through that just to keep it extremely limited, especially for a Simon line release. That thought process, I can't give you the cliff notes, Mad Dog. Suck it up. That thought process led us to our solution. We PGA approve it as a Simon line balance and retool the balance in the meantime so it can deliver the flight we were initially looking for later. This gives gyronauts access to a part of the development process of a Simon line disc that otherwise would never be released, while others allowing the disc to be PDGA legal as well. However, there's another wrinkle in this whole situation. There is a disc currently PDGA approved for the name Balance. Knowing why we have submitted a prototype for approval is one thing, but why are we submitting a disc name for a name that has technically already been approved by the PDGA? The answer there is that MVP believes we have already secured the trademark application priority date to the name Balance for use in disc golf. The Simon line brand extremely is important to us in the development process. The disc is long, and with two things in mind, MVP decided to register trademarks ahead of time for names that Simon and ourselves felt were integral in the Simon line. In photography and film, the concept of balance is everywhere, yada, yada, yada. That's why MVP went through the extensive process registering. As we built the mold over the next thing. All right, now I'm doing cliff notes. So essentially what's happening right here, let me get to it. That is the complete and long history of the Simon line balance. Despite the bumpy road, we are extremely excited about where the balance is heading, and we're also looking forward to letting you all enjoy the development process alongside us with the release. Stay tuned for more information on that front. If you're interested in learning more about trademark law and how it pertains to growing the sport of disc golf, you can go to this. So This is the part that's actually really important. Needless to say, the news was certainly a shock to our system when the balance thing was already there. We reached out to the company to let them know the situation. We assumed that this misunderstanding on their part and that we'd be able to find a solution after a quick conversation. However, after explaining the situation to them, the company was unwilling to budge as they felt their situation gave them priority to their name. So, we have the utmost confidence in our registered trademark rights and fully expect our pending trademark to be registered. So basically what's looking like right now is
kind of
what's looking right now is they basically trademarked the name Balance to be used in disc golf. Someone else, I don't think the PDGA really cares about trademarks or anything like that.
Good to go.
Yep. Someone said, hey, we want to have a balance. PGA is like, yep, looks good. Great. No problem. MVP reaches out to that company saying, hey, listen, I'm sorry that you went through with this. We actually have that rights to the name. Can you, basically change the name? And they're like, nah, bro, we're doing our thing. So it seems like there's going to be some legal matters coming up.
It doesn't sound like much because they have the rights to the name.
No, but it is very interesting though that there are disc golf companies out there that are just like, nah, dude, I think we're fine. Because I mean, think about it. How many of these disc golf companies have printed out stuff that technically they shouldn't be printing out on disc and selling?
Yeah.
Right. So again, it's like MVP looks like a legit company that is running and doing the right things. There's other companies that are kind of doing what disc golf used to be, which is not what it is anymore. And they're like, nah, we're going to do our own thing. And they're probably going to get a nice little thing in the mail being like, you might want to change your mind, brother. So we'll see what happens. But
I thought that was change the name.
Nah, brah. Balance. Too good of a name.
What's the big deal?
Nah.
I agree. I agree with you.
So we'll see what happens with that. I thought that was an interesting little story. All right. Disc Golf got a shout out on the Yak, one of my favorite podcasts. It's a Barstool podcast. Goes on around like 12 o'clock during the day. Sas, go ahead and play the clip. Uli, check this out. Is it playing or is it what's going on right now? No, I know, but I don't know what the viewers are seeing. I'm seeing like
choppy.
I'm seeing like 1 frame per second or they're seeing it good. Okay. Did it play through? Okay. So, they had it. Yeah, no volume. Sorry. They had a basket inside their studio and she was trying to make it from the basketball court into the studio. And she threw my Avenger SS that has like Brodie on it and just chucked it straight into a TV and just shattered the TV. Just broke the TV. But those guys are awesome. They go out and play disc golf every once in a while. So it's always nice to see, other people getting involved with disc golf, enjoying throwing the disc golf around. It's a little bit too late for the schedule preview. I want to do a deep dive into that. So maybe we'll hold off on doing that next week. I also have the biggest storylines of the year. If you and Silas, Edwin, if you guys want to bring in your biggest storylines for next year, by all means, bring them in, chat, let us know what you think some of the biggest storylines were. We'll kind of go down memory lane. But to finish the episode off, let's end it with a couple questions here. First one is, where is the line between excited and energetic on the course? I'm talking about clapping, cheering, saying yes loudly, and being unprofessional on the pro tour.
As a player?
Yeah, like where's that line as a player being too energetic or too happy on the course?
To where it's fake, I think it should be the way you actually feel.
I think they're talking about more like on a professional level.
That's what I'm saying. Like if you're genuine, you can be as happy and
boisterous and stuff, loud.
I think so.
Okay, because I think they were kind of saying like if you make a big putt and you're like, bang, like,
yeah, that's awesome to me.
they're saying that might not be nice for the other people. And like, my whole thing is like, bro, if you make a big putt, like if disc golf continues to go the way it's going and you make a big putt, brother, it's going to be roars. I mean, we all hear hole 8 at MVP. It just circulates the entire property. Imagine if you had that at almost every hole, right? It's just, to me, I'm with you. I think I don't see that being an issue at all. I want to see the passion.
I've had people on my card who are fake about it, and I don't like that.
Oh, well, that's weird. Yeah, sure.
That's when it starts kind of being a weird thing going on. So I think there is a line to it, but if you're genuine and that's really how you feel in an exciting way, I'm all for it.
Yeah. Yeah. Is the future of disc golf greens elevation, a la the Monster course played at the European Open? I believe it was the Monster. I could be wrong. No, it was the Monster. They're basically saying like crazy mounds, half the greens on the course, or like half the green is like sloped and the other half is flat. Like, are we going to see more events or more courses try to utilize that where they can? Now, obviously, when we go to OTB, when we go to Portland Open, when we go to these courses, they can't do any of that. But would you like to see more of the private courses or the courses that they can actually adjust go to more of a green complex?
Love it. Yeah.
Yeah,
I absolutely love it. I'm big for landing zones, and I think it's hole 17 at the European Open on that big mound.
Yeah.
There's a real nice spot for you to land it dead straight mid-range, little Anheuser, land it soft, and you're looking good. The people are getting sneaky hyzers that aren't working and stuff. I think that's a great hole.
Yeah, the forehand's scary too with it coming into the side of the hill and potentially rolling down. All right, last thing I'm going to say, Silas, I don't know if you've watched any of the episodes yet, Uli, but Silas, I know you were a part of them. Do you have anything to say about the first episode? Episode 2 just dropped today. I don't want to talk about that yet, but episode 1 dropped last week, Imposter Disc Golf. It's the new reality series that we have on the Foundation Disc Golf podcast. Silas, do you have anything to say?
Yeah, well, if you haven't watched episode 1, you need to go do that right now.
Good call.
Before I spoil it, kind of. Not spoil it, but I just want to say in that episode, a lot of Brodie talking. A lot of Brodie talking, a lot of hate, and also a lot of love.
Did I yell at you, Silas?
What do you mean?
So one of the comments said that I yelled at you. Like you came up to me and talked to me, and then I was responding to you, and there's
in the interview, you were like, I don't get why everybody's mad at me, and I said, well, it's probably because you're yelling at them, and then you're like, I'm not yelling at them.
You yelled,
and so that was really funny. But there's a lot more of like, you get to know the personalities more as the videos progress and as the episodes progress. So it's really cool in that way. To just, keep watching all the episodes because they're all going to be super fun and enjoyable.
Yeah, we do a big recap of the episode, some behind the scenes stuff that you didn't see on camera on this week's off season, which is the podcast that happens during the off season, and then debate night happens during the season. So definitely check out that, because a lot of your questions that were in the chat are going to be answered in that. Uli, this is something that I think you would love to be a part of next year. I'm going to try to I think it would be sick to do a show where it's like half pros, half AMs. Because right now it's like me, and then what do you think the next best player is? Like 980 rated, you probably think, Silas?
Yeah. Probably not. Probably skill level, probably not on paper, but probably skill level wise, yes.
Yeah, they might be more like 970 or something.
Gotcha.
So I think it would be really, really interesting if we had like 6 guys that were all like 6 pros and then like 6 AMs. And we all like, I want to do like a more of a survivor thing where we have 2 teams and you compete and the losing team has to vote someone out until there's 1 person left. Like, I think that would be electric.
Oh, that would be cool.
Where this show's fun. It is really cool, but the way it's set up right now, it's like there's so many people that are just not consistent at all. And quite frankly, like the first turn or the first round we did, Uli, there was like 7 people that I thought were the imposter. The imposter is the person that's trying to like
Mess up on purpose.
Mess up, yeah. And there was like 7 people that I was like, this guy's for sure. No one would ever do that. That has to be. And at the end of the day, it's like you have to remember a lot of people that are rated 900 or 920, they could probably be 960 or 980 if they just played exactly the same. Like, don't change your form, don't change your putt.
Yeah.
But the shot selection.
Yeah, absolutely.
Throwing the right disc, all that. And so like this is crazy. This next episode's wild too, of where I'm just like looking at stuff where I'm just like, you gotta be the imposter, brother. There's no way you thought that was the right shot. But it was really fun. Silas killed it, Connor killed it. All the guys behind the scenes, Brad, Hunter, everyone really killed it. Michael, I think I'm actually way higher than 1,000 rated, brother. So there you go. Ratings don't matter either. All right. Well then, I think that's going to do it for this week. Just under 3 hours. We did it. Very nice. Shout out to our guest, Crazy John Brooks. That was fun.
Yeah, he was awesome.
We'll see. Put in the comments down below what you guys think who we think we should have on the podcast next week.
Maybe for the 100th episode, we have like a little award show, like best guest. I don't know. Some other awards.
How close are we to 100 episodes? What is this one? 94. So we're a month and a half away, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, oh man, are we gonna hit it like we're gonna almost hit it right at the new year. It's gonna be real close.
No. Oh, right. Month and a half.
Yeah, it's gonna be real close to like, it's gonna be like right around Christmas time. That'll be fun.
Yeah.
Make sure you like the video. As soon as we finish it, leave a comment who your favorite disc golfer is. And one of you guys will be sent all these cards. And if you're interested, I'm doing I'm breaking this Friday, whatnot. Uli, if you want to get in, I think we had Adam in there, Double G jumped in there, a couple other pros jumped in there. One of the guys, Nathaniel, I don't know him that well. He jumped in and said something for the first time, and I pulled his autograph card at the time that he said something.
Oh, that's crazy.
And then we looked at the photo. The photo of his card was the photo of his avatar on Whatnot.
Oh,
and we're like, you have the same photo. It was sick. So this Friday at 7 p.m. Eastern, me and Kelsey will be opening Brixton disc golf cards all show. It's on Whatnot. You can follow 7 o'clock Eastern time.
Sweet. Yeah, I'll jump on there.
Pop in. It's like
unfortunately I'm on Whatnot all the time.
Yeah, we did a player break last time. It was fun. We opened like 25 boxes or 30 boxes. It was $17 to get a player.
How many people you have watching?
We had like 150 people in there. It was pretty cool.
That's a lot.
Yeah, it was a nice show. So hopefully see a lot of you guys there this Friday night. And yeah, a lot of fun. Thank you guys so much. Thanks, Edwin, jumping on. Silas, as always, thank you. Uli, appreciate you. And we're gonna try to figure out this blur horse for next week. So we'll see what happens.
Figure something out. Also, I'm dropping some mystery boxes on Ledgestone tomorrow.
Baby.
So they're cleaning out some inventory, and they're gonna be pretty cheap. So
when does that drop? Because those are gonna go quick.
They gave me more details coming. If you look at my Instagram, so I'm tomorrow sometime.
Okay, be on the lookout for that, guys. That will be a lot of fun. All right, folks, we appreciate you. Have fun this week. Go out, play some disc golf. Hopefully the rain stays away here in Texas and I can play some, and we'll see you guys all next week.